And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition of the Korean StarCraft League, the KSL week number 67. I'm, of course, StarCraft VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chats, and by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to the round of 16. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, and we are jumping into our first matchup of the night. It's going to be a PvP, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the red Protoss player from South Korea. It is Zan. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the teal Protoss player, the South Korean Protoss. It is Luna C. And hold on, I'll get on the UI. Luna C. Bam. Teal. Okay, beautiful. We got you going. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's Gamba time, papi. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we do delve into our initial best of 3. Coming into this down is going to be the favorite player, but Luna C did recently perform quite well and recently did qualify for the OSC Season 12 Championship. So Luna C, he has been on form, he has been on fire as of late. I was very shocked to have seen his performances in the qualifier for the OSC Championship, and we'll see how he performs against Zan. We'll see. We're here for it. Here we go. But now 2-gate opener here out of Luna C. Likewise, 2-gaters. Oh, my apologies. 2-gate opener out of Luna C. It's going to be a gate into Cybercore into expansion here from Zan. We spoke about this last night. I've been trying to bring this to everyone's attention over the past couple of months at this point. Ever since the off-season of EPT, we have seen more and more players embrace this, specifically the Korean players. I'm referring to herO initially kind of leading the charge, going for the gate cyber into expansion, and following him, we've seen Classic, we've seen Zan, we've seen Creator, Nightmare, Trap. They all have followed suit, and they've been more willing to mix in this kind of opener, even on maps that do not have a ramp coming into the natural. So with this, Zan is going to be much more economic. Meanwhile, Luna C going for a proxy Twilight Council into, I would imagine, proxy Dark Shrine. Ooh, bold move here by our teal Protoss player. Now, if Zan doesn't open either Stargate or Robo, then he might be in trouble as he will not have access to detection. That's going to be a big if, though. It's going to be a big if, as it is not uncommon to open up in such a manner. Ooh, it is going to be a 2-gate follow-up, though, here out of Zan. It's going to be 2 gateways, still 0 detection for our red Protoss player. Twilight Council is done. And do we go for a proxy Dark Shrine, or do we commit into something different? Are we just rushing into Blink? What is the plan? As there was no probe left with the pylon. Okay, we have the answer. Blink is the answer here for Luna C. Honestly, if he had gone for a proxy Dark Shrine, there's potential. There would have been potential for damage to potentially even end the game. Instead, setting up for a 1-base all-in. Blink is on the way here. Should be throwing down extra gateways. So far, only 2 gateways are set up, but I believe he's sending out a probe. Yep, he's sending out a worker here to reinforce, to proxy across the map, to throw down extra gateways. So 1-base all in here from Luna C. Zan back at home. We have a Stargate follow-up here. With this, should be getting into oracles to harass across the map to wreak havoc in the mineral lines. And interestingly enough, Luna C, it looks like he wants to set up a proxy here behind the gold mineral wall to reinforce him to the other side, I would imagine. So he's knocking down the dying tumors. Alas, still waiting for Blink to finish, reinforcing with extra gateways. With extra stalkers. Still only 2 gates back at home. But again, he should soon have that proxy gate up and running. As the tumor gets brought down, Luna C is going to be moving out. And oh my... Never mind. I mean, Luna C, he should be setting up the proxy pylon as we had assumed here on the other side of the wall, but he is also expanding on the other side of the wall as well. He is crazy. He's Luna C. Let's go. Is going for the gold base. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. All the nonsense, baby. All the nonsense. Let's go. As Luna C going to be poking forward. Not quite committed yet. Threatening the army. There's our proxy. Gateway is placed. And for the time being, Zan has no idea what's going on. So technically this isn't an all-in, but it's still very committed here from our teal Protoss. Luna C still has to get some damage, still has to get some value. See what he kind of combo shells poke in. Ooh. So far, just shaving off some of the shields. Nothing major yet. Making forward once again. Not quite able to one-shot those stalkers. Yeah, barely not within that one-shot range. So do see the Oracle on the way for Sound. Oh, the hallucination does tank some shots. As you're done here by Sound. Once again, hallucinating more stalkers. Trying to bait out his opponent, bait out Lunacy. Charge behind this is on the way. Makes sense considering the gold expansion that is being saturated. Oh. Nice target firing though. Does notice the weakened stalker. Despite that, still tanks. Sorry, shots are tanked. Oracle moves out. Additional stalkers still amassing. Oracle hits the main. There's a shield battery. Yeah, shield battery's in position. Lunacy will defend. Meanwhile, he can just focus on his assault. As the Oracle. Oh no, Sound! He's doesn't quite scout. Whew, doesn't quite get eyes on what's going on. He does not see the gold base, not yet. No. As Lunacy, he's going for the other gold. Let's go. Taking both gold expansions. And again, Zan has no idea. Zan is just fortifying himself, going for a robot, going for a mortar production. See hallucinations, they tank a lot of shots. Despite that nice concave here from Lunacy. Picking up more zealots. Oh, Lunacy, exactly. You understand now. Living up to his name. Ooh. Has a bit of miscontrol. Does bleed out a couple of stalkers here. Trading with the army. Lunacy going to be forced back. Bleeding out another stalker. Behind this, we have a 4-gateway explosion into charge lots. Again, mineral income is something that Lunacy has an abundance in. With all those gold minerals. Revelation into the main. Gets eyes on all the gateways. Zan still trying to piece it all together. He is checking the gold. Oh, he sees. There we go. Now he knows. Now he sees. Now he realizes what's going on. Does confirm the gold. Can't do much about it. There's a shield battery. And now the jig is up. Now Zan is aware. But can he do anything about it? He can at least deny the second gold base. As he's pushing in. Meanwhile, charge is done. Where are those charge lots? Stasis into the main. Lunacy does pull away. Up! Oh my god. Barely getting out. Oracle takes a lot of hits. Finally, the Oracle does go down. Nice pick up here by Lunacy. Shuts down the Oracle. He can now focus on his push. Attempting to knock down those rocks. Likewise, so is down. So we can have a better concave pushing in towards the gold. Rocks they get knocked down. The Lunacy trying to break out. As mining is denied. There's a recall to saturate. You love to see it. Workers they attempt to push in. The Immortal taking some hits. We're still waiting for the charge shots. There we go. Charge shots now on the way. As charge is spent on the rocks. But again, just waiting for more reinforcements, waiting for more zealots. And now with the addition of these charge lots, these Immortals are exposed. The goal here, can Lunacy snipe these Immortals before Glaives comes into play? Before, oh my god, Zan is getting into base. Let's go. Zan, he's putting on his own clown shoes, papi. Let's go. Ninja base on the way up against the double proxy gold. Meanwhile, a shout out to Pig and Chanchito. Thank you so much for the raid, Cap. I hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session or cast. Regardless, hope you had a great time. And welcome one and all to the KSL, to the Green StarCraft League. The event did just begin. And if you're curious as to what just happened in this game, don't worry about it. It's normal, don't worry. It's been crazy, Pipe. It's been crazy. It's lunacy. Let's go. Oh my god. As Zan is attempting to take the ninja base, so far unscouted. Lunacy pushing in. Nice force fields. For those that are curious, Lunacy, he did go for a proxy initially into Blink, into the goal base, hidden for a very long time. Zaun is now aware. For those that are curious, he is aware. He has been attempting to punish, but has been unable to break free from his 2-base contain. Force fields, they do slow down the push. Last Lunacy, not quite caught out. Pulls back. As we have built up towards 4 Immortals. And again, the goal here for Lunacy would be to try to dive on those Immortals. Warping in extra waves of reinforcements, of chargelets, getting another 4th base. Not quite committing. How good the force field's going to be. Bearing in mind that Zaun does not have Blink, so if he gets caught out, I mean, there's no escaping it. So he has to be very careful here not to be caught out by those force fields. That pass across the map. Glaives are done. There's R going down. Thankfully, Lunacy does react in time. Does attempt to dive in. The Immortals are looking towards. Does he go for the blink? Not quite. Jesus. There are so many force fields. Zaun maintaining his Immortals. Does keep them up. Still plenty more force fields to work with. Lunacy just unable to engage yet. How many Immortals are we up to? 4, soon to be 5. Blink also on the way for Zaun. Adepts coming from behind. They do get into the 3rd. And they force the defensive Blink. With that Zaun, they can't dive in. These Stalkers, they can't Blink. Yeah, it's on cooldown. Lunacy getting caught out. Oh, does get away, at least with some units. But Zealots are the Stalkers getting picked up. Nicely done here by Zaun. Adepts, they did distract. Yeah, Lunacy is in trouble. Bleeding out 9 workers. And workers the base as well. I mean, thankfully, Lunacy does have a backup expansion, so he can just pull away. Can maintain his saturation. Zaun likewise, though, slowly saturating that top left-hand base as well. Will transfer. And Lunacy has yet to scout. Forcing his way up the ramp, doesn't quite get the Immortal. As one Immortal did go down. Zealots coming from behind, going for the mineral line. There's the defensive warp in. The Adepts are keeping up. Ooh. Lunacy dives once again, gets another Immortal. Down to 3. 3 Immortals left. Zealots are cleaned up. Zaun, I believe he was denied. Yeah, he was denied saturation. He has yet to transfer. Just now rallying over. Jeez, there's just so many sentries here. So many force fields down. Now he has his own blink. The base is going to fall. As Lunacy does not get the Immortal Net juggling here by Zaun. Call pickup. Does save it. He's on 3 base saturation. Does transfer in time. Does get away with it. Oh. Expansion goes down. Zaun is gaining ground. He's up in supply. And the advantage that Lunacy once had, not quite there anymore. The gold base is mining out. He's running out of money, running out of steam. And Zaun, he has finally done it. It was a crazy game. it was crazy, Pappy. But here we go, Zaun. He breaks out, just purely Blink Stalker up against how many Immortals? Jesus, another 4 Immortals here for Zaun. Forcing his way through. Lunacy gives up the base. The force fields are brutal. And the probes, they don't make it out. Expansion will fall. Lunacy going for a base trade. I mean, that's the only thing he can do at this point. He cannot engage with the main army. Going for a massive counterattack. But alas, he doesn't know about the top left base. And Lunacy, he can always recall. He can always recall over. Lunacy going for the main, depowering all the production. Likewise, Zaun doing the same. Going for all the pylons. And Lunacy doesn't really have any buildings out on the map. He still has that proxy from the start of the game. Twilight Council was still there, but it's been spotted. Zaun, he is aware of it. As he takes down the Nexus, no more recall. And GG gets called. Yeah, there's just nothing left here. And Zound, he will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played, Zound. He will take lead in the series, but shout out to Lunacy because, again, he's always a treat to watch. For those that are maybe unaware, Lunacy is a Korean Protoss player, is an up-and-comer, and, I mean, he kind of rose through the ranks during the COVID era of StarCraft, alongside players like Honmono, players like Quanta, players like 3 Point, the Koreans, I mean, and, yeah, he's been popping off as of late with some wild builds, as always. He's crazy. With that, we're getting into game number 2, and we'll see if Lunacy can force the ace match, or if Zound is able to get a handle on things and tie up this or clean up the series 2-0 and advance on into the next round. We'll be going over the bracket after this series, but !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back yourselves, as there are plenty of amazing matches going on at the moment. They're all going on. We're getting into game 2. Just catching up with the chat. Lunacy has a typo in his screen name. Oh no. Oh, as they have switched sides, my apologies. We'll get there. This morning in the top right hand corner of Lane Lines, we have the red Protoss player from land of South Korea leading the series 1-0. It is Zound. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Teal Protoss, down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is Lunacy. Well, now fix up his name, as he is a barcode in game. I got you. He is Teal. Fair, beautiful. Go. And again, last game did begin with a proxy. We'll see how Lunacy does approach game number 2. Zound instantly moving out, checking for any shenanigans at his 3rd base, at his 4th base locations. Zound being safe. Against Lunacy, I don't blame him. Don't blame him at all. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed yourselves over on Pig Street. If you all enjoyed. What's happening in this game? It's normal, baby. It's a standard game at the Lunacy. Standard game. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, it looks like it is Zound's turn to proxy. First things first, going for the pylon here across the map. It is a little bit far away ground-wise, so we expect a proxy Stargate, maybe some proxy tech like a Twilight Council. I'll be a little bit shocked though if it is a robo. So Stargate would make the most sense as we are relatively close by air to try to wreak havoc, get some economic damage, and there it is, the Stargate has been placed. So proxy Stargate out of Zound. Again, this is just designed to get into an Oracle to get economic damage, get some worker kills, and then expand back at home. Meanwhile, Lunacy going to be opening up, this time with a more economic opener, Gate into Cybercore into Nexus. Let's go. Very, very greedy, very economic. Zound will now confirm how greedy Lunacy has been, and Lunacy's expansion's almost done. Zound's has yet to begin. So we go from hyper aggression, hyper cheese in game 1 from Lunacy to something more greedy and economic in game 2. Let's go. We get both ends of the extreme, one game then the other, and we'll see what Zound can get done. Now, Lunacy did probe scouts, and it looks like he was aware of the delayed second pylon. Is aware that something is out on the map. I mean, it could be a fake proxy, could be real. Lunacy is getting a safety shield battery here at the natural, but the main base is exposed. As Zound pokes in, Lunacy is scouting with hallucination. Based on the rally, he will he scout? He will get eyes on at least the Oracle. Yeah, the Oracle is spotted. Does confirm the Stargate. Lunacy is aware. Does he have a warp in? Does he have anything to defend? Gonna try to rally his sentries down. Oracle dives in. Only 2 sentries to defend. Probes are gonna fall. Safari gets 1, he gets 2. Up. Barely getting a 3rd probe, barely not. Up. Okay, he does get 1 in the natural. 3, 4 probes going down. Not bad here. Some decent damage out of Zound. And he's not done. Here comes the 2nd Oracle. 2nd Oracle has arrived. Still no shield battery in the main, but there are 2 Stalkers. This time Lunacy is in position. Last two oracles, they can one-shot workers. Even with a shield battery, it's not going to be enough to defend. So far, Xian doing well for himself. He at least still has potential for damage. Bearing in mind that Xian, he just now finished up his own natural. He's behind in the worker count. He's still trying to catch up. He's trying to catch up here. Further back, going for his own Twilight Council into Blink. Blink has begun for Xian. Twilight Council just now starting for Lunacy. Bearing in mind that the tech is late for Lunacy just because he focused on the faster Nexus. And it still hasn't been quite as worth it as the oracles come in. They get 2 more probes. 2 more workers going down. Stasis trap to delay the third. Nice damage out of Xian. And there is going to be a window in time. There's going to be a timing here where Xian will have Blink over his opponent. Xian is getting the faster third base. Stasis goes off, delaying the third of Lunacy. Does delay the expansion. Is spotted here by Xian. Lunacy moving out. Now this move can be quite intimidating just because there is no blink from either player, so force fields can absolutely make or break a fight. In saying that though, Lunacy doesn't commit. He backs off. Ooh, does back off. If he had known that there was a faster third base, then maybe he would have committed, but Lunacy is currently in the dark. Hallucinating an Immortal. Let's go. Lunacy setting up defensively. Chilling back at home. Xian taking a slight economic lead. And despite being a little bit behind early on when it came to the openers, when it came to the economy, he's in a good position. It's looking good. He did well enough with the oracles. And what's terrifying is that they're still alive. The oracles are still up and running. They're still out there. They can still get more damage. They still have potential. Lunacy behind this. Oh, getting supply blocked. Now is not the time. 3 pylons on the way. Xian gets another probe. Doesn't quite get into the main. But damage nonetheless. And at this point, the pressure is now on Lunacy to try to bounce back in this game, whether it's with DT harass, whether it's Blink moving across the map. We'll see what he goes for the time being, going for a faster 4th base. That will help. But I feel like Xian is going to be the first to move out. So he does have the upgrade advantage, +1, more than halfway done. From here, can get into +2. There it is. When behind a Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine's on the way for Lunacy. Sees him moving out with hallucinated War Prism. You love to see it. I mean, does fake out Xian, keeping him busy. Does at least keep him busy. Phoenix even on the way for Xian to hunt down the Prism. And we're just settling in. Lunacy will get away with that expansion. Immortal production has now begun. Xian has yet to really tech in any of those directions here. I'm referring to no Robo, no Templar Archives, or I should say there is a Robo, but no Immortal production. No Templar Archives, just purely a gateway-based composition for Xian. At least for the time being. Just Stalker Zealot. War Prism's on the way. The first sign here of major aggression from Xian. Now it can reinforce across the map. See what he can get done. Lunacy does miss the main army. Xian looking for those zealots. We'll find them. Catching 3 zealots. Nice little pickup. Dark Shrine is done for Lunacy. And we do have a handful of Dark Templar. They're moving out. Are there any cannons to defend? There's 1 cannon at the 3rd. There's a cannon here at the 4th. Xian should be okay. as he moves out. To defend, there's only the one immortal. DTs, they do get into the mineral line. Down just distracting, going for Oracle Harass at the same time. Probes are going down from both sides. Immortal is going to be get picked up. Massive pick off the Immortal does go down. Across the map, DTs, they are deflected. And Zani gets 12 probe kills across the map. The Oracles did well. And he can just keep pushing. Has to respect the army though. Linking back, reinforcements are on the way. Here comes the War Prism. As Zani can't just commit. And remember, he's still up in upgrades. So that's +1 over the 0-0 of Lunacy. Workers are going down. And it looks like he has done it. Zani breaks through the main army. Again, did an amazing job early on with his oracles. Was doing a great job harassing. Getting incoming damage. Catching up, getting the faster third base. And that snowballs into this game state. Where Zan just has too much. But I appreciate that Lunacy didn't just cheese in this series. Did mix it up. GG gets called, and Zan will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the quarterfinals. GG. GG, well played. A much more standard game number 2. I say standard again. Lunacy did cut corners early on. He was punished for it. He was losing probe after probe. In the end, despite the more economic starts out of Lunacy, Zan took a lead instead. A lead in upgrades, a lead in bases, a lead in the economy, of course. With that, GG. GG, well played. Yes, Lunacy did go for some DT harass towards the end, but it did feel too late. It did feel a little bit too late there. He was getting some damage, but by that point, he was already being overwhelmed by the army of Zan. And with that, Zan does take the series. GG. GG. Congratulations. And with that, we can take a moment here to have a look at the brackets and to catch up on what has been going on. !B in the chat to have a look at the back yourselves. Oh, a big shout to Cyan in the chat. Obrigado. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great cast if you were casting some events. But thank you so much. For those who are curious, Cyan is a Portuguese streamer, Portuguese caster. So thank you so much. Gracias. Obrigado. As we catch up with the bracket itself, and we have some updates, we have some results coming in. From the top, we have herO. herO, he was patiently waiting for his next Terran opponent, and we have an answer to his call. It is going to be Percival. Percival takes down Homono 2-0. We have a PBT in the quarterfinals. Scrolling down, we have Cure. Cure takes down Patches. Curie's up against Classic, also in the quarterfinals. Another PBT going to be taking place there in the round of 8. Scrolling further down, we have Dark. He was waiting for his opponent as well. It is going to be Creator in the next round, but Farmy took a map. Impressive. Shout out to Farmy. Farmy, he is also a more semi-pro or more amateur Korean Protoss player, similarly to Lunacy, I would say. You know, Farmy, Lunacy, Rebellion, all around the same level. So for Farmy to take a map off of Creator, impressive. Impressive stuff there. GG, well played. Creator still was the favorite player though, still to advance on, facing up against Dark as we speak, and we have the lower portion of the bracket. That's where we are focusing our attention. It's going to be Zan waiting for the winner of SHIN and herO in the next round. Let's go. We're just waiting for SHIN's series to wrap up, and once it does, we'll be following him into Zan into that quarterfinals. So that is the plan. And again, the bracket is a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller, but very high quality as well. I mean, hey, we have the best Zerg in Korea, we have the best Protoss in Korea in herO and Dark. Love to see it. I appreciate the Terran representation as well. For those that maybe haven't tuned into the KSL before, welcome to the Korean StarCraft League. This is a bi-weekly tournament for the Korean scene. I mean, I say for the Korean scene. It's open to all regions, it's open to all shapes, all sizes, open to all players, but it is, at least time zone wise, a little bit more catered towards the Korean scene. It's very late in Europe and also getting late in the Americas as well. So because of that, we don't really see as much European or American representation. Every now and then we get like a D-gen European player that stays up late into the night and plays in this, but it's very rare. Is a rare sight. Whenever it occurs, we do always give them praise and give them a shout out, but for the most part, it is focused on the Korean region, and with that, it is also sponsored and organized and Yes, well, and funded by the community as well. Exclamation mark KSL in the chat if you guys wish to have a look at the Patreon yourselves, but there is a Patreon that does fund this event. We have been having a little bit less support on Patreon as of late, which is why this is no longer a weekly tournament. This used to be every single week we would host the KSL, but now it has gone down to a bi-weekly. Despite that, you know, it is still being run on a consistent basis. So a shout out to Dave Testa and a shout out to Chicken Man, as they're the two organizers behind this tournament. They allow this to run, they admin, they run it, they do all the work behind the scenes. So much love to Dave Testa and Chicken Man. And if you want to support this tournament yourself, you can do so via Patreon. There are some benefits there. There are definitely ways to, of course, gain something from it, or to just know that you're at least helping to support the Korean scene. You can do so yourself via the Patreon. It is all there if you wish. Otherwise, we're going to be focusing on our next match. And we might have a little bit of downtime here as SHIN is still mid-series. He's still 8 minutes into his game, so we will be waiting for that to wrap up. Likewise, typically the format of this tournament is best of threes all the way up to the grand finals, which is a best of 5, and the semifinals are held concurrently. They are held at the same time, is what I'm getting at. If our match, as we're going to be following, you know, Zaun into most likely SHIN, into most likely the winner of Dark and Creator into the lower semifinals. If our matches are faster, then we might be able to catch the upper semifinals as well, but it all depends on, you know, how fast or how slow some of these matches are. Sometimes it does line up where we can cast both semis, sometimes less so. We just cover one semis, then straight into the grand finals. So hopefully we're able to catch our players and potentially catch even more towards the upper half of the bracket. Something that I was getting at as well is I do appreciate some Terran representation, just because Korean Terrans are notorious for not competing in the KSL. The reason for this is because it is quite early in the morning. I say early, it's midday on a Saturday, and a lot of the Korean Terrans do sleep in. They've been asked before, like, yo, like Byeon, you know, Maru, Kyor, can you guys, Gumiho, can you guys, Ryung, can you guys, like, maybe, you know, wake up early in the morning and compete in KSL? And they're like, we're sleeping. So a lot of them are in bed, but at least this week Kyor is not, so we do have Kyor here. When it comes to the other Korean Terrans, they usually compete in the later events like Alima League or the Wardy TV Monday, ESL Open Cup Asia, where these events are more at around the 8 p.m. KST, 7 p.m. KST time. So by then they're bright and early. They wake up in time for those later events, I should say. Shaking my head. Shout out to the non-stop Korean Zerg and Protoss players that do wake up in time, but you know, the Terrans, they need their beauty sleep, happy. They need their sleep. Aye. But again, that's also why I appreciate Kyor being here, because very often we have a KSL without any Terrans whatsoever, with mainly just Zerg and Protoss. So do appreciate it. Big shout out to Kyor, as best of luck in his match against Classic, of course. From here, it looks like we might have an update though. Let me just slip into some DMs. Figure out where we are. As SHIN is out of game. And there it is. We just got an update. You can see it there before you. SHIN did take down Nirko 2-0, and we have our next series, SHIN versus Zaun in a PvZ. GG. Beautiful. So we are going to be going on a very short break. Vetoes are underway as we speak, and when we come back, we'll have our next series. We should follow Kyor. I believe, I think Chicken Man or Dave Testa. I think they initially casted, it was Dave Testa. Dave Testa casted Kyor versus Patches, and they're probably following him into Classic. Typically, we try to spread out. We try to spread out the casters and try to cover other portions of the bracket. We do our best. Shout out to all the other English casters out there. Again, Chicken Man, Dave Testa, Steadfast, Enki sometimes does stay up to cast this in Spanish as well. We get plenty of other coverage. But yes, we're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we will have our next best of 3. See you soon. Take this moment, get some snacks, get some food, get some water, get ready for a night of StarCraft to come. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, week number 67. Welcome to the quarterfinals. We just wrapped up the round of 16, and now we are jumping into our next series. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss. It is Zaun. Here we go. And oh, I was about to say, if you're in the chat, it's Gamba time. It is about to be. I just realized I didn't actually close the previous betting line, so my apologies. My apologies with the channel predictions. I'll get on it as quickly as possible. But we are here to embrace our first ZVP, potentially of many, as we have plenty of other Zerg and Protoss representation in the bracket. Un momento, as I set up the channel predictions. There we go. Beautiful. So if you're in the chat, it is Gamba time. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chats. Coming into this, I would say that SHIN is the favorite player, but Zaun, post-military service, has been improving a lot here over the past couple of months. Has been improving, has been getting better and better results, and has been working specifically on this matchup on PvZ. I would say that Zaun's best matchup is PvP, followed by Protoss versus Terran. He has taken down some of the bigger Terran and Protoss names in South Korea. When it comes to his Zerg opponents, though, that is where Zaun does struggle a little bit more, and it is definitely a matchup that he is still exploring, that he's still building up on, and we'll see how he performs this week against SHIN. Here we go. Again, Zaun, for those that are unaware, Zaun, he is the most recent of players to finish up their military service and to come back into StarCraft. Before Zaun, it was Trap and Rogue, but Zaun is the most recent returnee, and it's great to have him back, of course. He's been back for, I want to say, just over a month. I want to say over a month at this point. Has been very active in the online tournament scene. Whether it's our Open Cups, whether it's the other Open Cups like Warrior TV Monday, Sparkling Tuna Cup, Tenacious Total Tussle, KSLs, of course, and online qualifiers. And we'll see how far he can come, or how far he can go even. But now, hatch gas full, standard opener here out of SHIN. Link speed is on the way, pulling out of gas. Nothing too crazy out of our Zerg player. Likewise, standard opener out of Zaun as well. Just gate, expand into Cybercore. We have a tech of choice, going to be the Stargate. Zaun isn't really one to deviate. Something that we have seen from Zaun, depending on the map of choice, we have seen him rush Tempest. That is a build that he has sprinkled in from time to time. But again, that is typically very map dependent, and I'm not too in love with the idea of rushing Tempest here on Whispers of Gold. The rush distance by ground on this map is very short, and likewise, the third and fourth base locations are very exposed as well, much more than on other maps. So this is, in a way, a rush map. It's very aggressive, it favors aggression, and we have seen a lot of all-ins from both sides as a result, whether it's a 3 base 8 gate all-ins from the side of Protoss, or whether it's 2 or even 3.5 base all-ins here from the side of Zerg, just massing up Ling, Roach, Ravager, going for Queen Walks across the map, going for German taxis. So we'll keep an eye on both players to see which player is the first to be aggressive and to be active on the map. Who's it going to be? But now, we do have our initial Oracle. First Oracle's moving out across the map. Second Oracle's on the way. From here, Zaun, he should be expanding, should be taking a third. For the time being, it's going to be on SHIN to minimize losses and to keep up with the Oracle harass. As the Oracle does spot, does confirm. In the main base, there is a Spore done. In the natural, we have 2 queens. SHIN is looking secure. The Oracle rotates over towards the natural. SHIN is keeping up. So far, so good. Does zone Zaun away. There's that third base being placed. And we'll keep an eye on the follow-up tech from Zaun, as we have a third Oracle in production. And with this, we should be headed into 3 base saturation, into a Forge, into a Twilight Council, into +1 and Blink. So far, everything looking as it should from the side of Zaun. Meanwhile, SHIN going for an early Evo Chamber. With an early Evo Chamber, this should be leading into +1 melee into Ling Hydra, assuming that it is, of course, going to be melee and not range. As typically, you wouldn't really rush into a range upgrade in this matchup. Not typically, at least. And there it is, as we mentioned, it is melee. So this is the first sign of Ling Hydra. We'll see if SHIN does completely skip his Roach Horn, or if he still gets a safety Roach Horn at the 5-minute mark. So Oracle's denying creep. Threading a dive into the middle line. They got 1 drone. One worker goes down. Oh, they get a second drone here at the third base, getting a third, fourth drone even as well. And the Oracles, they barely do escape. At the same time, SHIN gets across the map, gets a probe, but just the one, and is zoned away. So Zan, he defends, he gets 4 workers, not bad. Twilight counts a follow-up, later Forge here for Zan. Ooh, I don't think that was intentional, as Zan did have resources banked up. So that is a later +1 here for the Protoss. Meanwhile, we spoke about a safety Roach Warren. There it is, Roach Warren has been placed alongside the timing of the lair. So SHIN, he's not cutting too many corners. There are some Zerg players that will just skip it entirely and just go straight Ling Hydra. But SHIN is being safe. Is being safe. Double Oracle into the main. Oh, running a dive. Fourth base under fire. Does come into the shade. Lings are trying to keep up. They force a recall. The Lings are in position. One Adept goes down. Nice defense so far here by SHIN. Oracles, they pivot into the main. But so far, good response by the Zerg. Doesn't lose any additional workers. Meanwhile, SHIN is triggered to counterattack. Does move out. Spotted by the Oracles. And the Adepts are in position. And Zali defends. So far, so good. Does protect his third base. We have Roach Speed on the way, and I assumed it was going to be into Hydras, but no, we're going into a Spire instead. Bold move here by SHIN. Let's go. The Spire has been placed. Going into a Muta switch. And we'll see if SHIN can get away with this. Now, typically you want to go into Mutas if you're expecting your opponent to go into a more Zealot-heavy composition. Meanwhile, Blink is not done. Stalkers are getting caught out. One Stalker goes down. Massive pickup. Doesn't quite get another. The Oracles are in position. Thankfully, just in time. As is a risky move out. Zan throws down the proxy gateway. How many gateways is he on? Was on 6, soon to be 7. We mentioned before that aggression is favored on Whispers of Gold. Did mention before that 8 gate 3 base all-ins are not uncommon from the side of Protoss, and that is what we're headed towards here for Zan. As it's purely Blink Stalker. +1 was delayed, bear that in mind. But Queens are going down, Roaches as well. SHIN, he's in trouble. Lings are coming from behind the stasis. Oh, the stasis does pop off. The Lings, they do nothing. They get caught out. Boys are being pulled, and SHIN, he's in trouble. Yeah, Zali snowballing out of control, breaks through the defensive line. The Spire is not going to come into play. Greedy move there out of SHIN. And SHIN, he will lose control of the third, or the fourth even. 12 drones went down. Lings are falling. Stasis does run out. SHIN, he comes in from behind. With the help of the Roaches, can he hold on? Picks off a handful of Stalkers. But reinforcements are still trickling in for Zan. And it should be enough. I mean, it's going to be close. There's 12 more Roaches on the way. SHIN, is he holding? He's forcing back the army. Vow does not connect. And these are still brutal losses here for SHIN. Bleeding out Roaches, no Lings. And he is still being broken. Alas, the Stasis Trap earlier was brutal. The Spire as well, as we mentioned, not coming into play. And Zan, he has done it. He can overwhelm. He can just dive on the army if he wishes. Where's the blink? GG gets called, and Zan, he will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Zan, he will take a lead in the series. In the lead up to the all-in, SHIN, he was performing quite well. He was, for the most part, preserving his workers, preserving his mineral lines. He was going for the safety Roach Warren, but he was taking up into the Spire, and alas, he did miss the proxy gateway. Despite that, he still had potential for a defense, but the stasis traps were brutal, catching every single Ling as SHIN was attempting a surround. He was denied it. He was denied the surround. With that, Zan was able to break through. SHIN, he was forced to pull the boys as a result, still bleeding out more Roaches, and that was the moment where Zan did snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. Also, I was referring to a 3-base 8-gate all-in. That was a 3-base 7-gate all-in, but it had +1 alongside it, and did have an extra gas geyser, I believe, at the third base. So there was some slight deviation there for Zan. Regardless, did break through. And now Zan is 1 game away from taking the series. Let's go. Now, what I should emphasize is, as we mentioned, in the previous map on Whispers of Gold, aggression is favored, all-ins are favored, and I mean, it makes sense as to why Zan would go for that build. I do not expect the same build here on ley lines. As spawning in the right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaming Gladiators down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player leading the series 1-0. One game away from advancing on to the semifinals. It is Zaun. We go. Now again, we did speak on Whispers of Gold, how the 3rd and 4th bases on that map are much more exposed. As opposed to that though, here on Ley Lines, we have a much more defendable 3rd and defendable 4th base. The biggest differences, the biggest features here are, of course, the ramps, the choke points coming into the bases, and the high ground advantage that the defender has as well. These are features that were not applicable to the previous map. This is also why the previous map is much more vulnerable and much more aggressive in nature. Here, a little bit more defendable. It is still a short rush distance by ground, longer, I think, still than Whispers of Gold, but still short nonetheless, but more defendable. As a result, we should be seeing a more standard back and forth. We should not be seeing the same build from the Protoss, from Zaun. Not saying that an all-in is impossible on Ley Lines, not at all. It's just the map is working against you, so it's just not as favored. It's more difficult to pull off. And likewise, you typically don't want to rely on the same build multiple times in a series, especially not a best of 3, as you don't have as much wiggle room to work with. So we'll keep an eye on Zaun. We'll keep an eye on his gateway count, on his saturation, on his tech. For now, looking like another Stargate opener out of our Protoss player. SHIN, he attempted Muta play last game, and he couldn't quite get into it. He couldn't quite embrace it. Could he try to pivot back into it here in game 2? It's possible. I think it's a lot more viable here on Ley Lines compared to Whispers of Gold. Now link speed is on the way. It is going to be the initial Stargate from Zaun. Stargate once again. And as a reminder, last game, it was a standard open out of Zaun as well. It was triple Oracle into a 3rd base, into +1 and Blink and Twilight Council. So we expect something similar here out of Zaun as well. At least when it comes to the opener of choice. See if SHIN can keep up as well as he did previously against the Oracle Harass. As the rocks are being dealt with. Looking to saturate his bases. And, oh, okay, interesting. As Zaun, he does deviate. This time it is still a Stargate, but it is going to be a Void Ray first instead. I appreciate this. It's going to be a Void Ray opener. Now, there is a bit of a give and take with Void Ray play instead. The goal of the Void Ray is to hunt down the Overlords. Hunt down the Overlords is to keep SHIN in the dark, is to make sure he does not know what's coming up next. And this could be for some hidden tech. This could be for transition into a Fleet Beacon, into Sky Toss. If you remember at the start of Whispers of Gold, we did bring up the fact that Zaun is one to rush into Tempest. He has done that in the past, so could do that here as well. There's potential for some hidden tech, or it could just be Oracle into a 2nd Oracle, into a 3rd base, into a Twilight Council, into +1 and Blink, into a standard game. The goal here, though, is that SHIN doesn't know. Could be standard, could not be. The downside, as again, there is a give and take with a Void Ray opener, is that you're going to be down in Oracles. Because of that, you have limited scouting information. You're going to have less to harass across the map to punish the mineral lines and punish the economy. That is the trade-off. As the first Oracle does move out across the map. Oh, going for a 2nd Void. Okay, let him cook. 2nd Void Rays on the way. That I was not expecting. Interesting. 2nd Void Ray is in production. Do we go for a 2nd Stargate? Do we go for a Fleet Beacon? What is the plan here? What are we hiding? As the Oracle moves out. Threatens the natural. At the same time, SHIN did invest into a mass amount of Lings, going for a counterattack. SHIN is droning, but his goal here is to try to strike that 3rd. Void Ray is revealed, takes down a 2nd Overlord. Lings to hit the 3rd base. A 2nd Void Ray is revealed. And SHIN, he respects it. He has to back up. 3rd Void Ray is on the way. This should be +1 in charge, right? This should be Void Ray charge all in. We've seen herO do a build similar to this as well. I mean, it's been a while, but he has embraced it before. Like a Void Ray charge all-in is something we have seen before. As extra gateways are on the way, the tech has finished up. What upgrades are we going for? Yeah, there it is. It is going to be eventually charged lots, but initially Temple Archives into Archon production. So we have a charged Archon follow-up. So there we go, charges on the way. And that's going to be very strong timing here for Xian. And again, it's on SHIN to try to figure out what's going on. You can see his scouting is checking the third base. He's looking for reinforcing units. If he sees extra Stalkers being warped in or Zealots being warped in, that is indicative of what is to come. There we go, does spot the Zealots. There's a sign of charge. And because it's going to be charged lots, he responds with a Spire. This I'm more fond of, kind of. What I should say here is that there's no Blink Stalkers to deal with this, and SHIN knows that. He knows that the chances of there being Blink Stalkers is quite low. I'm just concerned that Xian is going to go for a 3-base all-in, hit a timing with these upgrades, and snowball out of control before SHIN can embrace the mutas, just like the previous game. I'm getting some deja vu. Where SHIN, he wants the mutas, and then he dies before he can actually make any. Or before they can pay for themselves. Things they threaten to run by. Archon's a morph in just in time. Charging +1 on the way. But Xian, he has no Robo, he has no War Prism. The Robo just now finishing. Without a Prism, he can't be active on the map. Void Rays are deflected. One Void Ray goes down. Here comes the War Prism. War Prism is on the way to reinforce. But until then, Xian is stuck at home, which means this Spire, it's going to finish. It's going to finish up. Mutas are on the way. That's going to be 13 mutas for SHIN. And they have potential for damage. Of course, the mutas, they cannot touch the main army. And this is what I was worried about. As SHIN is investing into mutas, here comes Xian with Archon Charge Lot. And with the War Prism as well. Here comes the move out. And the mutas are not going to help in the defense. Ooh. As things are brought down, roach production has begun. But are there any roaches? Zero. There's 0 roaches to defend. As Xian can push in. He can commit. There are queens, though. As a lot of queens. SHIN dancing with the army. The expansion's going to go down. At the same time, mutas, they get across the map. They hit the natural. Probes are falling. So they'll run by into the main. SHIN, he defends. Forces a recall. The Archons have arrived. Phoenix production has begun. So far, SHIN is doing well. He forced the army back home. Did force it all the way back. SHIN massing up a roach-based composition, moving out with the queens. Let's go! The overlords, they move out as well. SHIN is going all in. Cutting workers out on the full base saturation. It's going to be all or nothing for SHIN. Does he have enough to break through, though? The Archons are in position, catching out the Overlords. SHIN attempts to spread creep. Roach is getting caught out as well. Where are the queens? The queens are still lagging behind. And Xian is forcing a fight. With the queens, not coming into play. Roach is being forced back. Queens, they whirl in from behind. Once again, Xian, he avoids the army. Turns back around, going for the queens. At the same time, mutas, they hit the natural. The queens are exposed. Roach Ravager lagging behind this time instead. Files do connect. Get massive files on the Void Rays. Void Rays taking a lot of damage. And SHIN, does he have enough? Ooh, as the Void Rays, they shut down. They get shut down. The Void Rays do fall. The Roach Ravager, they break through. They take down the Archons, but the Immortals, they hold on. Xian, he defends. He does hold. He forces back the army. And remember, SHIN, he doesn't have a 4th base behind this. His saturation is lacking. Just now taking up into a Hydra Den. SHIN, he's stuck on Roach Ravager. And Xian, tech-wise, is in a better position. Xian is ahead. Xian is ahead. That was a failed all-in out of SHIN. And now SHIN, he has to try to transition. Hydra Den, Infestation Pit, into Hive Tech, into Lurkers. +2 has now just begun. +2 is already complete for Xian. And Xian, he barely lost any workers. He's ahead economically. In economically, composition, upgrades. Xian is in a better position. When it comes to the mutas, they all got thrown away. There's 1 muta left. As they did attempt to pull Xian apart. And right now we're in a position where the soup does lie. SHIN, he's up in supply, but a lot of it is just Roach Ravager. It's a very inefficient army, or at least supply inefficient. compared to what Zhao has. The stasis up! Oh my god. Does notice. Does notice the stasis. Thankfully, just in time. Piles that don't quite connect. Ooh, forcing friendly fire. And nice splits here from Zhao. Avoids the vials. And SHIN can't fight this head on. Still dancing with the army. Once the Archon does get it. Archon does fall. And it will reinforce with Hydras. As is reinforcing, we have the fleet beacon on the way. Zhao, he's secure on his 4 base economy, still up in workers. And working towards the mothership. Working towards potentially Skytos. SHIN is still trying to commit. I mean, at least there's no splash damage. There's no Storm or Colossus. Despite that, SHIN's still just ramming up against a brick wall. Leading out roaches of all things. SHIN is maxing out. Now, if you recall earlier, I pointed out the infestation bit. No hive. There's no hive. There's no lurker den. SHIN, he's going for a second all-in, essentially, as he has not been droning at all. So it's just going to be purely Roach Ravager Hydra. He has chosen that it's too late to take up into hive. As pushing towards the natural, whilst they don't quite connect. Fleet beacon is done. +3 about to finish up here for Zhao. The mothership has started. The mothership, it's on the way. And these are still just more efficient trades here for Zhao. Picking up roaches, picking up ravagers. Expensive losses here for SHIN. Ay. And he's only really gotten a gateway. He's gotten a gateway, gotten a couple of zealots. He will rotate, catching at an Archon. Oh! Zhao out of position. Yeah, the Archon and the Immortal, they are exposed. Zhao trying to collapse in, but an awkward fight for the Protoss. As he has cleaned up at least half his army. Zhao just having awkward movements. SHIN, he does have some potential here. He has some momentum. Rotating back around. Diving the Immortal, doesn't quite get it. Oh god, the force fields. The force fields, they're brutal. The mothership has arrived, Tempest production has begun, only 1 Stargate, so only making 1 Tempest at a time. And now we finally see the Hive and the Lurker Den, but again, this tech is late. Intentionally so. And SHIN is still not droned, and now only just droning. 5 workers on the way. SHIN trying to get into that next step, but again, Zhao is already there. Zhao, he's already there. With a massive Mortal Archon-based composition. 11 Lurkers morphing in. And can SHIN slow the game down? I'm just worried that eventually, like up until this point, Zhao has not really been active at all on the map. But soon he will. Soon he's going to push out. And when he does, I don't know if SHIN can stop him. As this army is terrifying. Jeez, how many Immortals? 7 Immortals. 6 Archons. A Tempest, a Mothership, Slow Zone, Cloak of course. The roaches, they get pounced upon. The army's gonna fall. Lurkers out of position. And instead, SHIN is going for a counterattack, going for a pseudo base trade. SHIN, he will lose the 4th. Zhao is pushing. And SHIN turns back around with the Lurkers. He can defend the natural. But what about the 3rd base? Expansion goes down, and from here, Zhao can recall. And he will. Pulls back. Does he recall? Does he just walk back home? As he will lose his 4th and his 5th. Does force a cancel. Down, he races back. And as the dust settles, we have SHIN, who's on 2 bases, or really a 1 base economy, as he's out of minerals in the main. So half a base economy here for SHIN. And Zhao, I mean, he still has his 3rd. Expands towards the north. Still has a terrifying army, up in army supply. Pushing into this wall of lurkers is not going to be easy. But SHIN doesn't need to. He's just chilling, just expanding. 2 more Stargates on the way. Getting into triple Tempest production. Viper production has begun for SHIN. Does get a fresh mining base up and running. And Sound double expands. Just double expands at this point. The reality is that SHIN, he cannot aggressively move into these bases. He cannot fight the main army of Zaun. SHIN ideally wants Zaun to push into him, where he has, you know, the defensive advantage, that he has the concave of his lurkers. That is all he has going for him. SHIN is still working on those lurker upgrades, doesn't have adaptive talents. The Vipers, they will help. And Zaun is maxed. Now, as Zaun is maxing out, this is where he does need to be active. Does need to trade as well. Ideally. Instead of allowing SHIN to catch back up and max out himself. And have a chance back into this game. But now Zaun just waiting for his upgrades. +2 shields about to finish. Tectonic destabilizers as well. He's getting there. Likewise, SHIN is still stuck with basically Roach, Ravager, Hydra. Has those 3 Vipers, of course. I'm a little bit concerned that Zaun has no counter to the Vipers in the sense that he never invests into Storm. Speaking of, he reads my mind. There it is. Storm is on the way. But at the moment, we're lacking Storm. We're lacking feedbacks, which is a concern. That's positioning here by Zaun. Peeking with the mineral line. Vipers are moving in. Looking for those abductions. They get 1, they get 2. They get all 3. Oh my god. 2 Tempests going down. They get the 3rd Tempest as well. Nicely done. 1 Tempest survives. At the same time, those Zealot here towards the 4th base. 12 drones go down. Oh, he wants the feedback. He gets it. Feedback goes up. There's still 2 more Vipers. They come in. They get the yoink. Oh, and they get the 2nd. Tempest falls. It took a lot of abductions, but the Tempest count gets reset. High Templar goes down. Nice pickup. More Tempest on the way. Zaun, he now has a comparable SHIN now has a comparable army size. SHIN rotating over. Let's just say the quality of SHIN's army is still not ideal, but he has the Vipers. They come in, they yoink some of the Immortals. Hope he gets 1. Gets a Tempest as well. The base is gonna fall. And where are the High Templar, by the way? There's still only 1. Only 1 High Templar, no Storms against this heavy of a Hydra army. Where's the splash damage? Can we throw down the slow zone? Archons, they collapse it. Oh my god. The Archons. They just mow through the army. The Hydra. Who needs Storm? Who needs splash damage when you have Mass Archon? Jesus. The Archons and the Immortals, of course, together. They break through. GG gets called. SHIN's army melts completely. And Zaun will take the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played. I was concerned about the lack of Storm, but nah, happy I didn't need to be. Zaun, again, he still had a mass amount of Immortal Archon. For those that are curious, Immortal Archon can break through siege lines of lurkers as long as you have a good concave, a good setup, a good line there, or a good open space that you can collapse into. Choke points are brutal, and it can be very difficult pushing up ramps or into these choke points where you're pushing into a concave, but that was not the case out in the open. That is where the ground toss army is favored. GG. GG, well played. Whew. With that, congratulations, Zaun will advance on to the semifinals, and the question becomes, does he have an opponent? Let's catch up on what's been going on. Let's go. Let us go. And of course, it isn't just that. Leading into that kind of game state, again, SHIN, he went for 2 failed all-ins in the lead up to that, where Zaun was able to defend and take a lead, get ahead economically, base-wise, upgrade-wise as well, when it came to the composition of his army. Zaun, he was all over it. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. And oh my god, we now have our semifinals. The upper semis at least. There's been a lot of progress in the bracket. herO takes on Percival 2-0. Classic takes down Cure 2-0 as well. The Terrans have fallen, and now we have a PvP in the upper semifinals between herO and Classic. We have one Protoss confirmed for the finals. herO is the champion of the KSL. Out of all players in the history of the Korean StarCraft League, herO has the most wins under his belt, so herO, he is favored. He is also the reigning champion of last week's, or 2 weeks ago, the previous edition's KSL. So we'll see if Classic can cause an upset and bring herO down. Meanwhile, Dark versus Creator, they are still mid-series. They're currently 19 minutes into their game. Oh my god, that's quite a game they have going on. I believe they should at least be in game number 2. Let me quickly double check that. As I believe Chicken Man is casting Dark versus Creator. He has you covered there. Where's El Pollo Loco? There he is. As Dark is up 1-0. Okay. Dark, he's up 1-0, and he's also ahead in game number 2 as well. So it's looking like potentially a Dark versus Zaun semifinals. We will get ready for it. Another PvZ. Now, because we're focusing on the lower portion of the bracket, chances are we will not be able to catch up with herO versus Classic. Chances are that match is going to wrap up by the time we finish our series. So, as a result, it looks like we have 2 matches left. We have the semifinals that we're going to get into momentarily between Zaun and the winner of Dark and Creator. I mean, there is a chance, of course, that Creator, he does defeat Dark. If that is the case, then we will jump into the ace match. There's potential the ace match between Dark and Creator. That is true. There is potential. I'll just set that up now. And then that's going to lead us into the grand finals. That is the plan. Just catching up in the chat. There we go. Terrible army composition, way too many lurkers. I mean, it's one of those things where he was just forced into that composition, right? It's like, because of the non-stop failed all-ins, like he was behind economically, he was behind tech-wise, like he was kind of like stumbling his way into the mid-game, instead of having an ideal economy where he can afford something like a more air-based composition, or more spellcasters with extra Vipers, with some Infestors. Alas, that was not quite the case there for SHIN. Didn't have the luxury of that, I should say. So it was damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of scenario. So Naga, OP, OP. StarCraft, hello. But yeah, have you all been enjoying yourselves and enjoying the weekend as well, as we're getting through Saturday here? For those that are curious, especially after the KSL, our next broadcast is going to be in 7 hours, in almost 8 hours time. We're going to be live on this channel with Masters Coliseum. We just wrapped up with day 1 of Masters Coliseum last night, the playoffs, and tonight is going to be day number 2. I believe we're going to be featuring Serral versus, can I get it off memory? We're going to be casting Serral versus Gumiho, and a PvP between Zaun and MaxPax. That's it. There we go. So we have Zaun versus MaxPax and Serral versus Gumiho. That's going to be later on tonight. In 8 hours time. So if you're based in the Americas, I know it's getting quite late. If you get some sleep, get some rest, then you might be able to wake up just in time for Masters Coliseum. Might be able to wake up in time for it. I know it's at a better time slot for, you know, us here in Oceania, or if you're in Europe as well. A little bit better. Otherwise, I believe we're going to be going on a short break. Here. Again, we are still waiting for Dark versus Creator to wrap up, and once they are done, we'll either be jumping into the ace match, or we'll be following the winner into... Oh, okay, they just finished. They just wrapped up. This just in, Dark does take the series 2-0, and Dark is going to be facing off against Zaun in the semifinals. We will still go on a break, but now we have confirmation. So after the break, so take this moment to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, get some rest, drain your disruptors, massage your marines, and hydrate all of your hydras. We'll be back soon with those semifinals once the vetoes are done. See you soon. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the semi-finals of the KSL of the Korean StarCraft League, week number 67. We are nearing the finale of the event, actually, as both semi-finals are currently underway, and we are here to determine which of these two players will advance on into the grand finals. Who's going to be our first finalist? As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Leylines, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player, also from South Korea. It is Xian. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Coming into this, Dark is the favorite player, is what I will say. But SHIN was also the favorite player. And Xian, he played well, did play out the series very well in Game 1. Xian did go for his own 3-base all-in, if you remember, on Whispers of Gold. Game 2 here on this map, on Leylines, we had a more unorthodox build out of Xian, going for Void Rays into Charge Archon, did kind of bait out or even force an all-in out of SHIN, if you recall, as SHIN did play Muta into just mass Queen Walk across the map with Roach Ravager, and Xian was able to showcase his defensive prowess, survive the all-in, survive another all-in after that, just snowball out of control from there. But of course, Dark is a very different kind of player here. Is aggressive himself, very aggressive in this matchup, and often doesn't play straight up and doesn't play macro. But despite that, a very different kind of aggression compared to SHIN. Very different. So our eyes are going to be on Dark here, coming into this. But now, standard openers. It is going to be a hatch gas pull out of Dark. Likewise, gate expand into Cybercore from Zao. Based on the pylon placement, it should be a Stargate opener. The reason for this is the pylon is further out, closer to the edge of the main instead of further back behind the mineral line, so it should be a Stargate from our Protoss. But as we saw in the previous game, just because it's a Stargate doesn't mean it has to be Oracle. It could be a Void Ray once again, and we could see a bit of a more unorthodox build out of Zao, as the Stargate has been placed, and we will soon find out the unit of choice. So we'll see if he goes Void Ray once again or into an Oracle instead. Our eyes are going to be on Zao here. You know, back at home, Dark just droning, saturating, now taking his third. Ooh, the probe does not deny. Sound barely not there in time. And Dark can settle in. He can settle in, he's pulling out of gas, droning up. We'll keep an eye on any gas resaturation there from Dark. He's very fond of going into fast layers, into Ling Queen Nidus all-ins, for example, Drop Lord all-ins, like Hydra rushes. He's very much so willing to embrace early tech. And meanwhile, we have the answer once again, just like the previous game against Shin. It is a Void Ray opener out of Zao. And once again, I have to reiterate that the power of a Void Ray opener is keeping the Zerg player in the dark and denying scouting, denying vision, denying information. And this can lead into a standard build or into something more aggressive, something more unorthodox. Last game, if you recall, this led into charge ults, into Archons, into some charge Archon aggression with additional Void Rays. We'll see where Zao takes this time. Meanwhile, Dark, he likes the Dark, Pappy. He'll be fine. He will be fine. Copium. But now dipping in, gets eyes on... Ooh, doesn't quite get eyes on the third base timing. Third base now being thrown down. Dark, he is deflected by the Void Ray. For the time being. As the Void Ray is on patrol. Behind this, we do have the initial Oracle. Oracle's moving out. Ling dips in, and Dark, he confirms the timing of the third base. So first things first, he is aware that there is no all-in. There's no two-base all-in. And so far, this looks like the same build. It's Zao opening up Void Ray into Oracle, into a second Void Ray, I would imagine into Twilight Council, into Temple Archives, into Charge, and Archons. So far, it looks like the same build. Meanwhile, Dark going for an earlier lair timing. Interesting. That's going to be a 4:30 lair timing out of Dark. Much earlier here compared to Shin previously. Eva Chambers on the way. And I'm most curious to see if Dark is going to embrace an earlier Hydra Den. Based on the Bailey Nest, it does look to be Ling Bane Hydra. You don't throw down the Bailey Nest unless you intend on skipping the Roach Warren. Now, against Charger Archon, I am a little bit concerned for Dark. As you can imagine, Charger Archon, they do an amazing job at tanking Ling Bane and snowballing through and snowballing out of control. Without Roach Ravager, it is going to be a much more difficult defense from the Zerg player. Not impossible, but more difficult. Assuming that that's the direction that Zan is going in. Yep, there it is. Archons. So Forge, Twilight Council, Charge, and Archons. It is the same build 2 games in a row here out of Zan, but of course 2 very different opponents. And again, I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of Roaches and the investment into Ling Bane. As Dark is making some safety banelings, he's droning up, saturating, going into Spire Tech, rushing into Mutas. Now, if you remember, Shin did something very similar. Shin, he went Ling Roach into Mutas, and by the time the Mutas moved out across the map, Zan, he pushed himself. And because of that, there was very little to defend back at home. And that's when, if you remember, Shin was forced into the all-in. Is when he had nothing to deal with the Archons, and he lost the base, he lost the mineral line. That's kind of what led into that game state. And it's looking very similar here as well, as the 4th base is denied. I'm worried because this time the Zerg player won't have any Roaches, so the counterattack and the counter all-in, if we're in the same situation, is going to be weaker for Dark. The flip side though, because there's no Roach Warren, when the Spire finishes, Dark, you will have more gas, and I imagine it's going to be investing even harder into Mass Muta. As the Baleen does get eyes on the Archon. The Archons are slowly building up over time. And I believe Xian is going to move out with his Robo. When the Robo finishes, we should be seeing a Warp Prism, and then Xian is going to be pushing. And before that does occur, Muta production has begun. And I appreciate this, we have a backup Roach Warren. Now, it is a late Roach Warren, which means Roach speed is going to be delayed, but a Roach Warren nonetheless. And Darky has realized the importance of Roaches considering the army composition he's up against. So he will eventually get into Roach production, eventually. But now the Lings are being active to try to keep Xian busy, to keep him pinned. See, Lings are in most of the attack pods. Ready for counterattacks as well. And 7 Mutas they are popping out. Here's a 2 rotate towards the left hand side. Lings hit the 4th base. They try to get the surround, but alas, Xian does defend. Deflects the Lings. Mutas they hit the natural, and Xian he's pushing. And I mean, it's again deja vu. The same situation that Shin was in. Ooh, the Prism takes a lot of hits, but the Prism does survive. The Queens are going to be falling. And Roach production has begun. 14 Roaches on the way just in time. This base may fall, but Darky will have a ground army. Meanwhile, Mutas, they do dive into the main. 11 probe kills, not bad. 13 probes. Damage is being done. Dark actually achieving a lot more this time with his Mutas compared to Shin. It's going to be 14 dead workers. Some of the Mutas do escape. And Xian, he doesn't have enough to keep pushing. Does pull away. Doesn't commit in. Again, that is a wall of Roaches waiting for him. And again, so important here that Dark did throw down the Roach Warren when he did. As he now can defend, he can survive. Behind this, re-expanding, getting into the base. I believe Xian did not kill any workers. Yeah, he killed the expansion, but no drones. Unlike where Shin, where he did lose his mineral line. So economically, Darky's maintaining himself. Switching into Hydras. Hydra down on the way. Mutas are going to be cleaned up. But this time the Zerg player is not forced into an all-in. He can just settle in, he can calm down, he can drone up, tech up as well. Hydra production well underway. And Xian he's taking into the fleet beacon. Now what I will say from the side of Xian is that thankfully he didn't throw away his army. He didn't try to test the defenses of Dark and try to force his way into the wall of Roaches. It would not have ended well for Xian. So Xian, he respects Dark position, he backs off, he's still on his 4 base economy, and now he's taking into Skytoss. So we're all building up towards a longer game state. We are all teching. Dark is the first to max. Catches the Warp Prism, nicely done. Now what I will say is the army is maxing out for the Zerg player here is that the army is inefficient. There's a lot of Roaches here which were made in a panic earlier. They were necessary to survive and to defend, but at this point these Roaches, they're hurting Dark more than anything. So he wants to trade. He wants to trade out the army, trade out the Roaches. And as if on cue, Xian moves out to trade. Roaches getting caught. Dark started stepping forward. Nice force fields here out of Xian, and no Ravagers. There's no answer to the force fields. Darky gets pinned back, Ling right towards the natural, forcing a recall. Thankfully, Xian doesn't recall everything. Keeping up with the army movement here of Dark. Nice force fields, catching out the Roaches. Dark is forced back. He's into the main, trying to wreak havoc, and Xian defends. Likewise, as Dark has been leading out Roaches, he's replacing them with drones, with Lings. We now have Hive Tech on the way. Well, the Hive is done, Lurker Den's on the way. Dark, he's transitioning into Hydra Lurker Viper. He's getting there. Likewise, investing into those upgrades. Xian, meanwhile, investing into his own Tempest. And again, he's been defending well. Eventually, Xian, he will need another expansion, and there we go. The 5th base is on the way. And we'll see if we can hold on to it. See if Xian can defend. As both armies start building up. We have Tempest upgrades on the way, +1 air attack, 2nd Forge for the shield upgrades as well. Embracing that late game composition. Earlier Storm, this time from Xian. If you recall last game, it was more delayed, which made me concerned. In the end, wasn't even necessary, but this time Xian is on top of it. This time Storm is much earlier. As Dark, he does come across the 5th. Down is somewhat in position. Dark, he backs up. Lurkers are scouted. Sound pokes in. He rotates with his main arm here towards that northern base. And we'll see if he can bring down an expansion. As he moves out, Ling Hydra comes in for a counterattack. Down, he responds. Turns back around. That's a kill, not a cancel. Nexus does fall, but Dark, sorry, Down, he will catch out this army. At the same time, Dark pushing from our hand side. Down out of position. Cannons are falling. Can he get the Nexus? Up. Nah, he can. We're going for the base trade. Let's go. Nexus is going to fall. The 4th base does crumble. And Zani commits. Running into Spore Crawlers, running into Queens. Lurkers are in position. And Zan, he is denied. He recalls. He recalls back home. What does he save? He saves the 3rd base, but he lost the 4th. He already lost the expansion. Dark is all over this. Trying to get the hell out of here. Now, what I will say is that I do favor Zan in a head-to-head fight. So Dark, he has to try to preserve this army. Racing back home, going for another run by, another counterattack. Zan, he responds. And even though Zan is favored in a head-on fight, he's forced back home time and time again. A cancel here on the new 4th. Well, I guess the new 5th. Oh, hatchery did go down. Still very tense. Now, on the one hand, Dark is buying time, and he's morphing in even more lurkers as we speak. Still, though, in a head-on fight, I just still favor the Protoss. Like, Zan has a terrifying army. He's got 5 Tempests, 7 Archons, not as many Immortals as he otherwise would have liked. But he's throwing away Zealots to make room. Let's see if Dark is able to keep up. How many lurkers is he on? He's on 15. 15 lurkers, 2 Vipers. The problem here is that Dark doesn't really have any pushing power. He has no way to try to push into these bases. We spoke earlier about the difference between Whispers of Gold and Ley Lines, and that's coming into play here, where these bases are much more defendable. The high ground, the choke points, whether it's at the center location, whether it's here on the left-hand side as well, trying to see like a line of lurkers pushing up these ramps, it's not easy. I mean, we saw SHIN attempt it and fail at it. So Dark, he's stuck on his half of the map. From here, investing into air upgrades, I mean, this is the correct call, is working towards Corruptors, working towards Broodlords. Especially as Zani's investing into more carriers and more Skytoss. Hydra Lurker Viper, it does have a bit of an expiration date with how well it can perform. Speaking of Dark, going for a run by. Catching out some static defense. Not quite getting to the mineral line. But once again, like hit and run tactics here from Dark. Just picking up whatever he can, but oh, he is poking the beast here, and down he's moving out. Dark, he's racing back home. Let's try to race back. Okay, lurkers do rotate. We have 7 infestors on the way. More spore crawlers as well. Dark attempting to fortify himself. I mean, this is the best case scenario for Dark, is to fight with the side defense. Still not going to be easy. Oh, can we get the yoinks up? Ooh, not quite. Clutch feedback, very nice storm. Both Vipers go down. Ooh, without Vipers, I mean, how do you deal with this? You don't. Yeah, the Tempest, they can just rain free. Ooh, the Archons, they do move a little bit too far forward. Be careful. As Darky just goes for a counterattack. He knows he cannot fight this main army. Goes for a massive counterattack instead. Look, the Tempest is slowly pushing through. Dark diving on the carrier. Oh, doesn't quite get it. Tempest moving in. And Dark, he will not break through this army. Yeah, he will not break through those 2 carriers. The carriers, they clean up all the Hydras. Zan, he defends. And he attacks. And Dark, he's up against the wall. He's in trouble. The base is gonna fall. Neural's cut. Let's go, the Neural. Neural on the Archon. Here come the feedbacks. Dark losing the expansion. And again, Dark, he does not have a bank, he does not have the economy. He's down to 64 workers, barely an economy for Dark. And Dark, he has lost how many? 11 lurkers. Down to 4. Barely any lurkers left for Dark. And Zound, from this point, is just snowballing out of control. He can just have his way with this army. Again, the lack of economy for Dark, it's now catching up with him. The lack of workers. As else, it's just wreaking havoc. Another base is going to go down. And again, Dark just, it's too much. The death ball is real. Dark cannot engage. Just being bullied back. And again, as we mentioned, like, Dark, he doesn't have any money. Like, he's broke. He doesn't have any money to switch into Corruptor, to switch into more Vipers as well. Dark, he has gas, yes, but he has no minerals. So he's forced to work with what he has here. Now, there is still a lot of potential with this kind of army composition, especially if Zound gets caught somewhat out of position. But Dark, he's relying on Zound making that mistake. Whereas if Zound plays carefully, then he should be fine. Here come the yoinks. Going for the neurals. Let's go. The Tempest, they now belong to Dark. And can he get a Tempest? Up. Not quite. We can drag the army in. Do we have any anti-air? Okay, we do have some Hydras. 3 Tempests going down. I'm assuming 3 Tempests. Up. No, never mind. He gets... There we go, the third one. Third Tempest does 4. At the same time, Zound, he denies an expansion. But again, that's what Dark is hoping for. He's hoping for the Tempest to overextend, and then he can either abduct or neural, one or the other, and slowly pick away at the Tempest count. Slowly pick away at the Skytoss army. He's relying on those moments. Zound throwing away his probes. And he doesn't need them. Dark trying to keep up. He's got, how many lurkers is he back up to? 22. 22 lurkers. Let's go. 22 lurkers. To make up for his lack of anti-air, he's going to have to rely on those neurals. Neurals on the Tempest or on the carriers. Down he does rotate. Catching out some free lurkers. Dark out of position. Does abduct one of those Archons. Archon does survive. Archons, they beefy boys. But again, Zound just being so careful, just denying bases. Denying the expansion. Ooh. Does land a storm. Another storm going up. Here come the neurals. Yeah, neurals are on the Tempest once again. The Tempests are exposed. Oh, but mass feedback. The infestors are going to be going down. The Tempest forced within range here of the Hydras. And the Tempest count is reset. Whew. Gets every single Tempest. You can see here, Dark immediately just remaxing on more infestors. Just 9 more infestors. Each one is potentially a Tempest. And now down to 0 Tempests, but alas, because of Zound's economy, he's making 4 Tempests at a time. He is rebuilding, he's remaxing. And Dark, his goal here is to do that again. to do that again. To catch out the army. Oof. Dark, he runs into the Archons, and the problem here is that Zound his economy, it's still fully operational. He has a booming economy. Dark trying to go for a counterattack. Running into a wall of cannons, the space doesn't really matter as much. There's not as much value here. Oh, but he does deny that Northern Nexus. Not bad. Nice run by here out of Dark. The distraction did work. Last now, Zan is back up to 5 Tempest. Once again, as Zan rotates, Ling run by. Denies the base once again. Meanwhile, Nidus into the natural. Does Zan notice? Yeah, he has. He has noticed. He pulls back. But again, Dark, he's just getting breathing room. He's just gaining breathing room here. Forcing Zan all the way back home. And now Dark, he can start to assault some of these bases. Spots the army. Dives in. Gets 2 Archons and an Immortal. Sorry, two Immortals even. Nice pickoffs. Zan, he has to respond. It's a very slow, very mobile army. Force a recall. From here, Dark should back up. Respects the recall. Zan is not taking this line down. Also going for his own DT counterattack. But again, there's just so much pressure on Dark. And it's so risky being active the way that he was, especially if he doesn't know where the main army is, because, again, he cannot be caught out. Dark doesn't really have the bank to remax if he does take a bad fight. Sound poking in. Dark getting ready with his infestors. Oh, Zan establishing this northern base. Dark, he can't let that base get up and running, at the same time going for a Baneling run by. But again, I mean, there's no economy here. Tempest getting free damage. Lurkers going down. Baneling's a crash into the side defense. Dark is trying to gain ground. Moving forward with those Lurkers. Lings, they catch the reinforcements with his DT defense as well. These are brutal losses here. Neural on the Infestor. Ay, ay, ay. 2, 3 more Lurkers going down. Dark going for another Ling run by. Gets a Neural. Gets one. Oh, the feedback's so brutal there. And not quite worth it. 3 Infestors go down. And again, back at home, there are plenty of Dark Templar. The Lings, they do nothing. And Zan is all over this. At this point, he is all over this. He's all over Dark. Just picking him apart. Like Dark, he's hoping for some kind of distraction, but Zan is just focusing on the main fight. Focusing on the Tempest. Non-stop revelations as well. The feedbacks are brutal. Yeah, once down, once he's looking. He's not getting caught out. Oh. Yeah, brutal dive. Gets punished with the Storm. Feedbacks on the Vipers. Feedbacks here on the Infestors as well. And there's nothing left. There's just nothing left here for Dark. The High Templar completely shut him down. And Dark, he's out of money. We spoke about it. He didn't really have the bank. He's down to less than 100 gas. GG gets called, and Zan, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Zan will take a lead in the series, and Zan is 1 game away from making it to the grand finals. Uno más, papi. 1 more game is all he needs. Again, Dark, I would say that he did have a better performance here compared to Shin against Zan on ley lines, but despite that, Dark, his lack of economy was really hurting him. Dark, he was at sub 70 workers for most of that game. Because of that, he never really built up a bank to work with. He did have some strong moments, don't get me wrong. He had some nice counterattacks, but we saw that once Zan got that death blow of an army of Tempest, Carrier, Archons, Immortals, High Templar, and Storm, once he could just focus on these main frontal engagements, like that's where Zan was able to thrive and just pick Dark apart. GG. GG, well played. And now we're getting to game number 2. Let's go. Let us go. Chase. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Good morning, Chase. Good morning. As we're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing himself. Currently, team is down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Zerg player, leading the series 1-0, one game away from advancing on to the grand finals. It is Zaun. And again, very impressive play out of Zaun in that last game, especially when it came to his late game army control. And what I should emphasize is, coming into Ultra Love, I do favor that style as well. I would imagine that Zaun once again wants to go into something more defensive, something more macro-oriented. If you recall in the last game, Zaun, he did counterattack that one moment where he did kill the 4th base, but outside of that, he was focusing on just defending back at home, and Ultra Love does favor that style. Ultra Love, there's a lot of choke points, a lot of narrow spaces. It is very much so common to see a split map scenario on Ultra Love, or at least a player securing their 3, 4, and 5 base economy. So I do like the idea of Zaun playing a similar way here in game 2 as well. I do think the map does favor that style. Meanwhile, the pressure is going to be on Dark. Now, coming into this series, if you recall, I was talking about how Dark is typically... Oh god. Be careful. As Dark, he does have a bit of a miscontrol with those workers for a moment there. A little bit concerning. Standard opening here out of Dark. But Dark, he's typically more of an aggressive player. Dark, he's not really known for his late game. That's not where Dark thrives. He thrives in the early to mid game with all-ins, with aggressive play, with aggressive style, very much so in your face, just causing chaos and causing chaos and causing havoc. That is where Dark thrives. We didn't get to see that on ley lines. Can we see that here on Ultra Love? Our eyes are on Dark. We'll see if he throws down any earlier Roach Warren, earlier Tech, earlier Lair. We'll see if Dark is more aggressive here, because I feel like that's where Dark's strengths lie. That's where his strengths do lie. But now Stargate opener out of Zaun, and we'll see if he opens up Void Ray once again. We shall see. As the Stargate is halfway done. If you recall last game, similarly to SHIN, Dark did try to invest into mutas. You could also argue that maybe it's a bait here, that Zaun, he's wanting that muta response, as it does delay further tech from the Zerg. Dark did kill 14 probes with his mutas though, so they did pay for themselves. It wasn't too bad of a commitment there from Dark. As this time Oracle, okay, is going to be an Oracle opener out of Zaun. He is mixing it up. So this is looking like something more standard here from our Protoss. Going for the Oracle. Gaining map control, harassing across the map, getting a 3rd base. Everything looking standard so far. Which is not what we saw in game 1. The Overlord is being chased down. And, oh, the Overlord does fall, even without the Oracle. That does supply block Dark. Ooh, that is, yeah, a bit of a brutal supply block here, just waiting for the hatchery to complete. Back up Overlord on the way. Zaun getting his 3rd, investing into additional Oracles. So far, everything looking normal. Daddy Dark. Ay. Calm down. Calm down. Oh, no. As it is going to be that triple Oracle opener out of Zaun. This should lead into +1, and I would imagine Blink. But again, that's going to be a very different style to what we just saw on ley lines. We'll see if Zaun does embrace those Blink Stalkers. Now moving out with some harass. That's going to be a 4:30 timing here with the Lair. Dark once again going Lair first. If you recall, last game this led into mutas. We'll see what Dark goes for this time. So Oracle dips in. Does dip in. No major forms of techie yet. Gases are being taken. We have a 3-gas setup for the time being. Into an Evo chamber. I'd imagine this should be Ling Hydra, but... see if he goes for the Spire again. Meanwhile, Zan is indeed going to +1 and Blink, as we mentioned before. More standard setup. Yep, Baliness has been thrown down. This is the same opener that Dark went for in the last game. Is the same opener. Same timing with the Lair, same timing with the Evo Chamber, and the Baliness as well. If you recall at the time, I had assumed that this was going into Hydras, but last game we saw the Spire. This time, there we go. Hydra Den is being thrown down. So it's going to be Ling Bane Hydra out of Dark, and this can fare quite well here against +1 Blink Stalkers. Assuming Zhao doesn't all, he's going for the all-in. Oh boy, now this is where now I'm concerned for Dark, as Dark, he's not going to have roaches to defend. Oh boy. Here we go. We saw this on Whispers of Gold in Game 1 against SHIN. Now we're seeing it here against Dark. How many gateways? 4 gateways are done, 4 gates are on the way. It's going to be a 3-base, 8-gate all-in out of Zan, a pure Blink Stalker, non-stop aggression. It's all or nothing for the Protoss. He's not taking into like Storm or Immortals or Colossus or Disruptors. None of that, none of the sort. Just pure Blink Stalker all-in from the Protoss player. And Dark, he did decide to skip roaches. And without roaches to defend, it's going to be a tough hold for Dark. Not impossible, but it's going to be a tough hold. Things are spotted. Stasis traps are being set up. I mean, because of the Oracles, the Lings, they shouldn't really be able to touch this army. Queens are exposed. He gets up. Plus Transfuse. Transfuse does pop off. 1, 2 Queens going to be going down. Lings, they try to engage. They're out of position. They're racing back over. Stasis traps are being baited out. Not bad. Oh, but the Stasis, they're brutal. They do connect. And Lings are falling. So far, good blink control here by Zan. Does blink away. Ooh, leading out 1 Stalker. The Hydras are exposed. Just waiting for extra reinforcements. Zan blinking back. Picking up the Queens. The Hydra count is building up. The Lings, they break out. So far, Dark, he's holding. He is holding on. Again, as the Hydra count gets higher than Dark, he can hold, he can't get away with this. Stasis going off once again. The Hydras are going to start falling. They do trade with the Stalkers. Nicely done. 2 more Stalkers go down, bit of miscontrol there by Zaun. And has he lost too many Stalkers? Has Dark held? I think he has. Yeah, 20 Lings in production. Dark, he is holding. And Zaun has no other option here. Like, there's nothing else behind this. He now starts pro production. Oof. Yeah, late saturation for Zaun. And nice stasis. Stasis does pop off. But Dark, he's hit critical mass. Like, this is his win condition. To get into critical mass of Hydra. Now Zaun is expanding, but it's a late expansion. Dark from here, baiting out the stasis. Things collapsing in. Dark trying to force a fight off of creep. It's going to be a messy fight, but still a fight in favor of Dark. Oh. Picking off more Stalkers. Stasis gets baited. Dark forcing Zaun back all the way to the proxy. Nice Oracle counterattack, but there's not really much energy to work with. And Dark from here is getting into +2. Looking to max out with Ling Hydra. And remember, like Zaun, he was all in. Behind this, there's no splash damage. There's no further tech. Not yet. Storm has just now begun, getting into charge. But there's a window. There's a timing here available where Dark could try to bring Zaun down before Storm comes into play. Oh. Nice trades. Nice trades out of Zaun. Still getting caught out though. Leading out some Stalkers. And these are losses that Zaun can't quite afford. As Dark, he's cornering him. Yeah, there's no way out of this. The Stalkers, it's a one-way trip. He tries to recall. And he will escape with some of his Stalkers at least. Does get away. But again, Zaun is in trouble and Dark is morphing in 40 Bailings. That's a lot of Bailings. Zaun knocks down the tower. Trying to buy time. I mean, Storm is almost done. True. How many had Templar? Four High Templar. If the storms are on point, then potentially Zan can hold. But these storms, they need to connect. Up. Rolling something Bane. And GG gets called as Dark overwhelms, and we are going to the ace match. Dark, he survives the 3-base all-in, his snowballs out of control. We're going all the way to game number 3. GG. We're going to the ace match, and I'm most curious as to the map of choice here. When it comes to Zaun's 3-base all-in, I mean, again, I do think it was a good option to go for, trying to catch Dark with his pants down, and initially he was trading well against the Lings, but we saw that he wasn't quite able to get on top of those Hydras. There was a very high queen count due to the high queens. They were buying time more than anything to just build up the massive amount of Hydras, and eventually, Dark, he got there. Got to that critical mass of Hydra. With that, was able to snowball out of control. GG, well played. And the ace match is going to be on a very often vetoed map. Oh. Very often vetoed map in the map pool. We are going to be getting into El Dorado. Let's go. El Dorado is coming up next. And I'm curious to see what builds we go for here on such a small map. Now, it is very common to see a rush into Tempest on El Dorado. I mean, I say very common, I say that just because we've seen classic herO and Max Packs go for these Tempest rushes. I think we've seen Zaun do it before as well, but yeah, at the same time, it is a little bit obvious. It's very played out on El Dorado, so we might deviate instead. We'll see what Zaun goes for. Likewise, we'll see what Dark goes for as well. Let's go. So we're getting into the ace match, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of El Dorado, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing himself as himself here, is the best Zerg player in all of South Korea, and soon going to be joining the military, casting in for one of the last times here in 2025. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Red Protoss player being forced into the ace match. We'll see if he can bring it back and bring it home and bring us all the way to the finals. It is Zaun. We go. Again, for those that are unaware, Dark, he did recently receive an award last month in December at the end of the year. He was inaugurated into the Esports Hall of Fame, or the Casper Hall of Fame, if you will. The Casper Esports Hall of Fame. There you go. He was brought in, and Dark, he did have an acceptance speech. He was referring to, his career, of course, but also the fact that his military service is on the horizon, and he will be joining soon. Didn't exactly give a date, and I know that it's a bit of a meme at this point where Dark has been talking about joining the military for a long time, but he also left his team, and in leaving his team did speak about how Dark is going to the military, and as a result, they have of course supported him all this time, and they have a lot of love for him, of course, as well, but his current performances in StarCraft are soon going to be coming to an end, as he will be joining the military. Our assumption is that it's going to be sometime here in January, but we'll see. We'll see what does come of it. So as a result, we're here to cast Dark while we can, while we have him, Pappy, while we have him. We're here for Dark. Let's go. Zaun is going to be opening up with the gate Nexus into Cybercore. Standard opener out of Zaun. My favorite part is when he thanks Pappy. Ah, true. True. I mean, I'm sure a part of him even delaying his military service was because, now he is a dad, right? And I'm sure he wanted to be there for the birth of his daughter, and, for initially raising her as well. Wanted to be there for the family. While he could. So now Dark is going to be taking his third, going to be expanding towards his opponents, mining through these patches. Alright, of course, welcome one and all to El Dorado, one of the most vetoed maps in the map pool, and because of, there's reasons for that. One of the big features, of course, is the southern half of the map is fully walled off by these mineral patches, and there are gold bases. There are very accessible gold bases here available to both players, and a center gold base as well. You can also expand towards your opponents, a very short rush distance by ground if they expand towards each other. So we'll see how aggressive Dark plans on being. We have seen many a Queen walk across the map on El Dorado. Likewise, this time, Void Ray Opener by Zan. Let's go. Void Ray Opener here. This looks like a split map Tempest Dream. I mean, there's a reason why we've seen a lot of Tempest rushes on El Dorado, 100%, to rush into Tempest, to maintain control of this center location. We'll see if Zan heads in that direction, as he will be going for a Twilight Council before third base. Hello, Zan. So very early tech, very early Twilight Council. I would imagine this should be for Glaive Adepts. I would imagine this should be Stargate, Void Ray into Glaive Adepts, but we'll keep an eye on Zan. We'll see how many gateways he throws down and how committed he becomes. There is a build here. If we were casting herO, I would say this could be Fast Blink. herO, he's very fond of going into Fast Blink Stalkers and turning this into a 3-base all-in with Fast Blink. But the gateways are being thrown down, and show us your upgrade of choice. What's it gonna be? Okay, it's a third option. I was like, it should be Glaives. I mean, there are some players who go Blink. Here we have Charge instead. Let's go. No gases at the natural. Rushing into Zealots, rushing into Chargelots. Some pulling out a gas here in the main as well. And the goal here is to catch Dark off guard with a charge timing. Let's go. I'm curious if this hits with Archons as well, as the Robo's on the way. We have a massive gateway explosion. How many gates? Jesus, oh my god, 8 gates. 8 gates on 3 bases. And 6 gates are on the way, 2 already done. Did I say 8 gates? We're getting up to 9. Do we get up to 10? Up. Not quite. Up to 9 so far. That's a lot of gateways. Meanwhile, behind this, Dark, he's going for a Queen Walk. Let's go. I mean, we spoke about this. Queen Walks are very common on El Dorado. Very common, especially if both players expand towards each other. So Dark, he's going for his own Queen Roach Ling all-in. And meanwhile, Zan going for his own all-in. Charge almost done. But Zan, his gateways are not done. He needs time to warp in. He needs time to reinforce. So Dark, he will hit first. Dark, he waddles across the map. We have some Charge to the defense. Stasis traps are going to be baited. It's all or nothing, one way or another. The game is about to end. Charge, they collapse in. The Queens, they cannot transfuse. And Queens are going down. They do get the Void Ray. Void Ray does fall. Third Queen falls as well, though. I mean, the Zealots, they're trading very efficiently. And Dark, he's going to be forced back. Losing every single Queen. Losing the Ravagers as well. The Charge, they just overwhelm. One all-in is not quite like the other. As Charge, they just shut down the army. And they're going to be chasing down those Ravagers. We see Dark trying to kite back. He's massing up his own Roaches. 7 Roaches on the way. The reinforcements are coming, and Zan, he has momentum. Again, Dark, he wasn't expecting the counter all-in. Oh, no. And Zan, he's snowballing out of control. He's breaking through, takes out all the Queens, takes down the Roaches, busts into the mineral line. There's just nothing left here. As Dark, he's trying to mass up reinforcements, trying to mass up an army. But the mass charge, though, that's all you need. That's all Zan wants. And GG gets called. He breaks through. Zan, he will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Build order win, pretty much. GG, well played is a build order win. Again, the Chargelots, they do, I mean, there were no transfuses, of course, with all the Queens. The army was out in the open. When you're up against a charge all-in like this, you do need SimCity. You do need choke points in your favor. You need to be able to kite back into your mineral line. You need to be able to make use of your buildings, of course, and just try to minimize the surround, minimize surface area on your army. That was the goal. That's typically the goal against that kind of play. But Dark was caught out in the open. He was caught out in the open because he was going all in himself, and Zan snowballed out of control from there. GG. GG, well played. Zan will take the series, and Zan advances on to the grand finals to face off against his Protoss opponent. Who exactly is that Protoss opponent? Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look yourselves. We have the answer, herO. herO takes on Classic 2-1. We expected herO to advance on, but it went all the way to the ace match, went all the way to game 3. They did have a back and forth. Likewise, so did Dark and Zan, and herO is going to be facing up against Zan in the grand finals. Let's go. Let us go. They're going to be facing off in that best of 5. And what I will say coming into this, on the one hand, yes, herO is favored, and herO, he does have the most KSL wins under his belt. Despite that, PvP is arguably Xiao's best matchup. Xiao, he has some killer PvP, and we have seen Xiao actually defeat herO plenty of times in the lead up to 2025. I want to say he beat him like 2 or 3 times in December in best of 3s. Bear that in mind, these were best of 3s, not best of 5s, but Xiao has already been beating herO as of late. Can he bring him down to best of 5? I emphasize best of 3s because we actually did feature herO versus Xiao. Was it in the finals of KSL like 2 weeks ago? Oh, sorry, 4 weeks ago? Let me just double check. But I believe it was a previous KSL where they face off in the final similarly to here, and herO did get his revenge over Xiao. So they have a bit of a back and forth going on. Let me just double check. Was it KSL 65? No, not quite. Where are we? We have the technology. We'll look it up. Head-to-head herO Xiao. herO, he did take him down in Alima League. That's it. In Alima League. It was in KSLs that Xiao defeated herO, and herO defeated Xiao in Alima League. There we go. Actually, more recently in these best of 3s. So they have had a back and forth. It was 66% in favor of herO in 2024. But now we're facing off here in a best of 5. Also, I misspoke earlier talking about how herO defeated Xiao in a best of 5. It was also a best of 3. This is actually the first time they are playing in a best of 5 since Xiao's return from the military. Okay, interesting. They've only played in best of 3s since then. So their first best of 5 in many, many years. The last time they played in a best of 5 was back in 2022, before Xiao went to the military service, or conducted his military service. So it's been a long time. Let's go. I am ready for it. Here we go. As vetoes are underway. Game 1 is going to be on Whispers of Gold. It's going to be Whispers of Gold, followed by El Dorado, Frostline, Ley Lines, and Ultra Love. Okay. And if you're in the chat, predictions will soon be open. They will soon be open. We got you. But yeah, the stars aligned for Xiao in that last series, in that last game, where like it was the just most perfect ideal scenario that he was being all in when he went for the charge all in himself. It all lined up. But here we go. We're getting to our fresh best of 5 grand finals. Welcome one and all to the finals of the KSL week number 67. And again, shout out to both Chicken Man and Dave Testa for organizing, adminning, and hosting this event. If you want to help support the Korean StarCraft League, you can do so with the command !KSL in the chat as we dive into the best of 5, the grand finals. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Weibo Gaming, WBG. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player, also from South Korea, representing or recently returning from the military. It is Xiao. So workers, they do pass by each other. I should also emphasize that this event, for the first, this is the first 2025 KSL of the year. Do love to see it. Welcome all to 2025. And we are featuring a very different map pool. We didn't really get to feature any of the newer maps, but we have gotten rid of Abyssal Reef, Neo Violet Square, and King's Cove. The older maps in the map pool, they have been removed, and they've been replaced with TLMC maps. Unfortunately, you know, they were all vetoed, which is to be expected, is that players there, they try to stay away from maps that they are unfamiliar with. But we do hope that over the course of the year, or over the course of the season, that they're able to embrace some of those TLMC maps and enjoy them, as has been the case in the Pick Store Mondays and also in the Hub Cups as well. And we'll most likely do that in our online tournaments or our open cups alongside them. In unison, if you will. But now, 2-gate opener. 2-gate opener out of herO. Meanwhile, Zaun going for a gate into Cybercore into Nexus. Economic opener out of Zaun, but he's going to be pylon blocked. He's going to be delayed. Here, he will disrupt the build here of Zaun. As Zaun, he has been wanting to expand. Essentially, Zaun going for the max opener, force attack up, throwing down a Twilight Council, not a Stargate. Twilight Council's on the way. Here he does Cyber Block the natural, delaying even further. And herO should eventually cancel this before it goes down. herO dipping back in, the Zealot is distracted, and herO going in for the full scouts. He will get eyes on the tech of choice on that Twilight Council. So big scout here from herO. He now knows what's going on. Back at home is setting up. And does he allow it to finish? Ooh, he does. Cybercore does complete. This will delay the expansion even further. Zaun, he has over 400 minerals. He has been unable to expand. And herO back at home opening up Robo. So 1 base versus 1 base. A Robo opener out of herO. This does give access to earlier Immortal production. So very safe, very defensive start out of herO. And Zaun, I'm curious if he sets up for a proxy pylon. The probe is still active on the map. Adept goes down. My eyes are on this worker of Zaun. He's going to be hiding. Back at home, we do have a second gateway. And a third gateway gets thrown down and not spotted by the hallucination. And we should be seeing a proxy 4th gate. I'm assuming. Hallucination does get eyes on the extra gateways. There's a pylon. Yeah, pylon's on the way. Zaun is going to be hyper aggressive. Here he's looking for any stray proxies. And he barely will miss it. Just barely. I mean, again, here he knows that he's in danger and he will find the pylon. herO does come across it, does find it, will shut it down. And will deny any plans for Zaun to go for an all-in. As Zaun, he threw down another gateway. Uh-oh. He threw down his 4th gateway back at home, so it's still going to be 4-gate blink. Hallucination does confirm. Here he is aware. But Zaun is going to have a lot of stalkers to work with. Blink is almost done. And back at home, herO, he needs those immortals. He's supply blocked. Uh-oh. Brutal supply block here for herO. Needs to free up some supply. Needs that second immortal. Zaun moving out. Hallucination does come from the Robo. Zaun is aware. Pushing up the ramp. Oh! Almost caught out. Nice hallucination out of herO. Does scare Zaun away. Oh, what happens to... Oh, my apologies. Oh, God. I was distracted. Get your Gamba going. Predictions are open in the chats. My apologies. I was otherwise distracted. But they are now open. I mean, it's a full best of 5, so plenty of games ahead of us. If you're in the chat, now is the time to place your bets while you can. Do apologize for being a little bit late with those predictions, but they are available. They are now available. Ooh, and here is going for a 2-base all-in. Glaives are on the way, building up Immortals, massing up Adepts. And herO, he is going to commit. Back at home, no shield battery. Is somewhat exposed. Zaun, he dives into the mineral line, he gets a probe. That's 1 so far. We do see herO recalling back home. And does punish. Ooh, takes down another Stalker. 3 Stalkers go down. Recalls now on cooldown. Zaun is attempting to take an expansion, but remember, here he's all in. He is completely all in. He's moving out across the map. The War Prism has arrived, and Zaun is getting caught out. Zaun caught expanding. Hopping up micro here out of herO. Saves the Stalker, does rotate over. The Immortals, they jump over the wall, and there's no way out of this. Yeah, Zaun, he is trapped. The boys are being pulled. They're being pulled into Glaive Adepts. Oh, trying to focus down the Prism. The Prism is going to fall. Prism goes down. No more reinforcements for herO. But it's just a little bit too much. I say that. Nice force fields out of town. Takes down the Immortals. And again, where those adepts across the map, we do see Zaun. He's popping off. 20 probes go down. And Zaun, has he done it? He cripples the economy. And he denied Glaives. No shot. He depowered all the gateways. No reinforcements. GG gets called, and Zaun, he counterattacks, he pops off, and he takes game number 1. GG. Oh my god. I didn't even notice. Didn't even notice, but Glaives was denied. 4 gateways depowered as well. Massive counterattack out of Zaun. And with that, Zaun takes the game. GG. GG, well played. A very risky maneuver there out of Zaun, but it did more than pay off. Was able to wreak havoc, of course, get the entire mineral line, deny any reinforcements as the gateways were depowered, and of course, deny Glaives. I just assumed that it was going to be finishing up. And with that herO, he just lost any kind of momentum that he once had. Gets shut down. GG. GG, well played. Zaun takes a lead. Zaun does take a lead. And again, Zaun, this is his strongest matchup. This is where he thrives in the most. This is where he can cause these upsets. And we'll see if he can bring down herO once again. Likewise. Oh, also my apologies. herO has the wrong race at it. There we go. Just fixing that up. As we are getting into game number 2, we're going to be loading into one of the more unorthodox maps in the map pool. We're going to be loading into El Dorado. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of El Dorado, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Weibo Gaming, WBG. Down in this series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the other South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss. It is Zaun. There we go. So we are going to be settling in. And Zaun, once again, is going to be opening up with a gateway on the low ground, gate into Cybercore, into a more economic start, at least attempted economic start. Meanwhile, herO is setting up on the high ground instead. Interesting maneuver here. Now, it is a lot more common to go for these economic openers here on El Dorado because there is a ramp coming into the natural, so it is much more defendable. You have the high ground, you have a choke point. It is very much so the meta to go for these economic openers, which is why it's intriguing to me that herO sets up on the high ground instead. Now, herO might still just go for the same build and go for the Cybercore on the high ground, which it looks to be the case. Gateway, second gas geyser. We do see Zaun in position to deny the expansion. They are mirrored builds, but herO is just set up in a different way. Regardless, the build orders are the same. Cybercore is on the way for both players. We have the initial Zealots as well. And the goal should be for both players to delay the expansions of their opponents, to delay the naturals. Only a single gas geyser for Zaun, so Zaun, he isn't really set up to throw down any tech. herO is, so herO, he can afford to throw down a Stargate if need be before the Nexus. As herO, he did cancel the Zealot, bold move. herO, he canceled the Zealot, throws down the Nexus. Likewise, I believe so did Zaun. Yeah, did the same thing. A Zealot was cancelled and both players expand. And with that, again, we still have mirrored builds, no early tech, faster expansions. Likewise, herO across the map, also setting up as well. And we do have a deviation here. herO going to be opening up with a Stargate. Instead, Zaun opening up with a Twilight Council. So faster Blink out of Zaun, faster Oracles out of herO. Oracles, of course, to counterattack and to wreak havoc across the map. Typically, with a Stargate opener like this, herO should be following this up with a Robo into Immortal production. The reason why I say that is because herO is going to be behind in Blink Stalkers, and to make up for that, you do have to make up for it with Immortals instead, with a lower Stalker count. This is the Adept is caught. herO scan the main. I believe herO did get eyes on the Twilight Council. Yeah, he has confirmed. Blink is on the way. There's the Oracle for herO. And as we did mention, there's the Robo. And again, the reason for this is because herO, he is behind in Stalkers and he cannot catch up. So to make up for that, Immortals are required. So herO, he's going to be the defender. He's going to be stuck at home defending, building up that Immortal count. Xian is going to have map control, and he will have potential to harass across the map and to pull herO apart. As herO, he only gets the one probe. Xian, he defends, checking his vision. Xian also saw the Stargate, so he's getting in position. Shield battery's almost done, and Xian is ready in the main base. He's ready in the main. Building on more Stalkers. Back at home, herO, there's a first Immortal in production, plus one attack as well with that Forge. Xian is getting the faster third base. Oh! Does deal some hull damage. Oracle taking a lot of hits. Blink is barely not done though. So herO, he will get away. But that's taking a lot of damage. All in all, herO does take a slight economic lead. And I'm curious to see if herO turns this into a 2-base all-in. It is not uncommon to just go into a Twilight Council into Glaives, for example, and to just commit. I mean, we saw something similar last game where herO did attempt the 2-base Glaive all-in as well, but he was denied. So I'm curious to see if herO goes for Charge or Glaive Adepts here. One or the other. Sound dips in. Confirms the tech. herO setting up for his expansion. And it is going to be Charge. Okay, so not an all-in. But again, herO, he's already behind in Blink, so he's not catching up. He's going to Charge instead. Zealots can trade more efficiently against Stalkers, especially with Immortal support. And of course, herO is spending a lot of gas on Immortal production. So he can't quite afford those Stalkers. But herO, he's not quite ready for this. Xian pushing in. Hallucination does tank some of those shots. All the Immortals are exposed. He wants the Immortal, he wants it! And he does not get it. Whew, just barely not. 9 HP Immortal does survive. herO gets away. But again, here he's still contained to 2 bases, and that is a gateway explosion. There's 3 more gates on the way. Temple Archives as well. herO is still down in expansion. Down, taking into his own charge. Oh, once again, does not quite get the Sentry. These dives have not been worth it. And herO, this is turning into a 2-base all-in at this point. There is no expansion. Again, instead of the Nexus, he did throw down extra gateways. Prism is on the way, and soon herO is going to send everything across the map. And I'm not so certain that Xian can survive this. He will have his own charge loss, that is true, and at least herO doesn't have any Archons. But this is still a terrifying army. And Xian, he needs to take down at least 1 Immortal. If he can snipe the Immortals ahead of time, then sure he can defend. Without doing so, it's going to be difficult. Xian going for a counterattack. Prism into the main. We've seen this before. Actually setting up a surround. Xian trying to bait the army out. Ideally, this surround is able to pick off the War Prism. So he's waiting for the War Prism to siege. And then he might be able to come in from behind. Here, he has his own Archons. He has a more efficient army. Xian, he does go for the dive. Doesn't get it, though. The Prism does survive. Reinforcements on the way. And Xian, he cannot break this. He's gonna try to though. Oh, dies once again. And he will barely get the prism. The prism goes down. But there's still so many immortals. Yeah, the immortal count is too high. 4 immortals, 2 archons. here he can still just fight this head on. I'm coming with chargeless though. Does collapse on the army. Oh, catching one of the immortals. Finally, one immortal goes down. But it took so much. It took so much to bring down one immortal. Now, bearing in mind, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Zaun. It's so important that Zaun is forcing these fights on hero's half of the map. So Zaun can reinforce. Collapsing on the Archons. Very nice unit control here by herO. Juggles the Archons. Does save them. Here he just trades so efficiently. And here it does take a supply lead. Again, Zaun spent so much supply to kill one immortal. It was crazy. No. All for one unit, and herO, he's just not really control. He has 3 more immortals behind this, of course. Zaun gives up on the base. He cannot save it. Zaun going for a counterattack instead. Busting into the main. I mean, this Zealot runby is good and all, but the problem here is that hero's main army cannot be stopped. With 3 immortals and 4 archons. herO, he cannot be stopped. Bust into the natural. Zaun across the map, likewise, is going to be stopped as well. As herO, he has enough reinforcements to defend. Zaun losing everything at the natural base. The next is the economy. The robo as well. Zaun trying to break out. Good. But the Stalkers are just being targeted down. GG gets called as herO overwhelms, and herO will tie the series at 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Zaun, unfortunately, he was so aggressive in this game. He was so active with those Stalkers, but if you remember, he was always just cutting a little bit too short there. He just wasn't able to snipe the initial immortal, the follow-up immortal as well. There were some key moments where he just did not pick off those high-tech units, and with that, herO, he was able to snowball out of control. And with that, GG, well played. We have a tied-up series. We're going to game 3. We have a back and forth. That's all that's important here. We have a back and forth between herO and Zaun. And can we go the distance? Can we go all the way to the ace match? I'm here for it. I am ready for it. As up next, we're going to be loading into Frostline. Here we go. Frostline, one of the larger maps in the map, will also a very exposed map as well. We'll see how Zaun and herO decide to approach this. Oh boy. We'll see if herO ever takes a 3rd base. Because in game 1, herO went for a failed 2-base all-in. Game 2, successful 2-base all-in. Game 3, is it Zaun's turn to all-in? Or do we macro? Let's go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Frostline, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Weibo Gaming, WBG. Tying up the series, it is herO. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player from South Korea being forced into a tied series. We'll see if he can bring it back. It is Zaun. We go. So we load into, again, one of the larger maps in the map pool. One of the more exposed maps as well. What I'm referring to here is the 3rd base. The 3rd base is very wide open. The ramp coming in, there is a ramp that is true, but it's a very wide ramp entering into the 3rd base. Likewise, you could also attack from the southern side as well, so multiple angles of attack towards that 3rd. Likewise, the triangular 3rd isn't much better either, also more wide open. And if we get into a 4-base setup, the bases are very spread out, very wide open, very difficult to keep up with aggression. And and Zaun opens up 2-gate. 2-gate opener out of Zaun. herO, single gate into Cybercore into Nexus. So it is going to be a more economic opener out of herO. And I was saying it jokingly before, but Zaun has an opportunity here to potentially go for an all-in. It's been herO with the non-stop 2-base all-in. Zaun has potential himself. Does confirm the setup. Does confirm the opener. So Zaun is here to delay the Nexus for as long as he can. And because of the positioning of this probe, he does not set up a proxy. There is no proxy. Ooh, as herO, he opens robe. Oh my god. That I was not expecting. God damn it. When we saw the opener here, I was like, oh yeah, herO, you know, he's gonna expand. This is a robo before Nexus. herO, he can turn this, what was supposed to be an economic opener, into one base all in. Does he throw down extra gateways? Or does he actually expand? I mean, he has the minerals for it. Okay, he expands. He will throw down the Nexus. So this is a very safe opener. Not aggressive. I mean, he can turn it aggressive, don't get me wrong, but just a very safe opener out of herO. With this here, he has access to early game immortals. So if Zaun was going for an all-in, then herO would be fine against it. Would be able to defend. Zaun going for a much later expansion. I mean, I say much later, not too much later here. Hallucination does confirm the robo. herO, he does start the initial immortal. Now, what I will say is that on the one hand, yes, this is very defensive, and if Zaun was proxying and if Zaun was all-inning, then he would be shut down. And herO, he can turn this defense into an offense. Once he gets up to 1, even up to 2 immortals, he can move out across the map and try to make use of that window, make use of that timing, the fact that he will have the immortal lead over his opponent. Zaun is going for his own robo opener as well, but much later. Much later. As a result, he will be behind in the immortal count. And yep, it's going to be immortal, not into a second immortal, into a war prism. This tells us that herO, he's moving out. Oh. herO, he is moving out. Zaun trying to set up. The immortal was revealed. And here comes the push. Here comes herO. And again, it doesn't look like a lot, but this early on, what is it to defend? 2 Stalkers and a Sentry up against 2 Sentries and an Immortal, plus the War Prism. And again, with that War Prism, herO, he has, in a way, defensive blink. He can, of course, blink control his units, or pick up micro, I should say. He can also reinforce in the face of Zaun with those War Pins. So Zaun is in a bit of trouble. Shield Battery is done. Shield Battery is ready. herO moving in. Does force field, does lock down one of the sentries. Yeah, the sentries are locked down. Very nice force fields. But the immortal has arrived. The shield battery does put in a lot of work. Does save the units. And Zaun, so far, he's holding. So far, he is holding on. Zaun scouting across the map. herO loading up the Adepts, and he moves away. So he backs up with his army, goes for Adept Harass into the mineral line. War Prism speed on the way. That I was not expecting. Okay. War Prism speed is in production. Interesting upgrade. As herO is deflected. Now going for a double immortal drop into the main. He wants the immortal. He wants it. Where's the prism? Where's the defensive War Prism for Zaun? It doesn't exist. The immortal is going to go down. Massive pickoff. Assuming he gets it. Oh my god. Zaun, he saves the immortal. He's crazy. Does barely save it on 4 HP. Nicely done by Zaun, but he's still up against 3 immortals. Zaun going for his own counterattack. herO, he commits. He does not back off. I mentioned before, I was joking even, that maybe this will be the first game that herO doesn't 2-base all in. But herO, he threw down extra gateways. Extra gateways are finishing up. herO committing in. As herO, he's on a 4, soon to be a 5-gate setup. Adepts take it across the map. herO pushing into the natural. The boys are being pulled, forcing the recall. The recall down to the low ground. Oh, the immortal, no! The immortal is going to be targeted. The immortal falls. There's just not enough here. Nova goes off. Doesn't connect. As Zaun, he rushed into a disruptor across the map. It's not enough. GG gets called here. He breaks through, and herO takes a 2-1 lead in the best of 5 finals. GG. GG, well played. herO does take a lead, and herO has yet to expand and get a third base. Just hasn't happened. Non-stop 2-base all-ins out of herO every single game so far. Does this trend continue? I'm here for it. I'm here for it, Pappy. Let's go. Give us all the aggression, all the all-ins. As our next game is going to be on Ley Lines. Zaun's been popping off lately. He has been. Again, he's been improving a lot. He's been improving a lot over the past month. Has been getting better and better results. And I also did just mention that this is his strongest matchup, I would say, alongside PVT. But here he is now down in the series. herO, he is one game away from becoming our champion this week. Zaun, he's up against the wall. Zaun has made a series out of this, but can he force the ace match? Can he bring herO to the brink? Thank you for broadcasting. Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Any news on GSL for 2025? No news yet. No news yet. We're all kind of lying in wait when it comes to the announcements, which we assume would be coming at some point here in January. I mean, right now we've been otherwise busy. Like, if you haven't been watching online events, then you wouldn't know. But we've been very busy here in January in StarCraft 2, covering tournaments like Masters Coliseum, the Little League Cup, all the Open Weeklies, all the Open Cups. Every day this month we have 2 casts a day. Every single day. It's crazy. It's a very busy month. Very busy. Like today, for example, we start the day off with KSL, and in how many hours time? In 6 hours. Sorry, in 5. Yeah, in 6 hours time, we're gonna be live again with Masters Coliseum. So 2 casts a day, every day for the entire month. It's very busy. We were looking forward to like maybe having some days off this year. No, not at all, not at all. Technically, we had 2 days off in December. That was Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but yeah, January is stacked. Here we go. We're getting into game number 4 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ley Lines. We have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss representing Weibo Gaming, WBG. It is herO. One game away from becoming our champion, and spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is Zaun. Who teach you Korean? Your pronunciation's like an 8. No, not at all. I know no Korean. All I know 감사합니다. I know 안녕하세요. I know 사랑해요. Let's go. What else do I know? I know 구준비요. 금잔디. Back in the day, I used to watch Korean dramas. I used to watch like Boys Over Flowers, like stuff like that. Like back in like 2010, 2009. Yeah. All the dramas. I watched Boys Over Flowers, Iris. Yo, Iris, that was it. Oh, I used to watch that like every week. Let's go. Big into Iris. Exactly. Oh no. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're going for the proxy. It's going to be a Stargate opener here out of Zaun. Let's go. Proxy Stargate, 2-gate opener. Meanwhile, herO going for, once again, something more economic. Going for, actually, a 2-gate opener. Interesting. 2-gate opener into a Stargate. herO, he fakes out a gate expand. Zaun, he didn't scout. He did not scout. He doesn't know what's going on. Nice fake out here by herO. Zaun, he's focusing on denying an expansion that's not coming. As herO, he's setting up in the main. So Stargate play from both sides. Now the problem here though is that herO doesn't know about the Stargates, and neither does Zaun. So because of that, we should be just seeing oracles from both sides. If they were aware, we could be seeing a Phoenix, but that is not the case here. As here he's across the map. He does confirm that the tech is missing. Is no tech. Oracle opener here out of Zan, and herO, does he open Phoenix? He does. Good read here by herO. Now with this scout, even though herO did not see the Stargate, he saw that there was no tech. The tech was missing, and in this kind of game state, it has to be a proxy Stargate, or the chances of it being a proxy Stargate is very high, very high. So very nice read. The Phoenix will come out in time to defend against the Oracle. With that, the Oracle gets shut down, forced to recall. herO, he shuts down, and now we can expand. herO is setting up for his natural, likewise so is Zan. herO now moving out. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. See. Beautiful. So here we go. herO pushing in. Baits out the stasis. Coming in with the pieces. Is going to be able to shut down some of these stalkers. Nice lift. Takes down one. Pulling back. Well, that's what I know. 여보세요? As probes are getting picked up. And with the defense advantage, with the boys being pulled down, he is holding, but he's going to be losing some probes. Two workers going down. Shield battery is done, and is down. He holds. Ooh, he does hold on. Alas, here is still just rallying across the map. Takes down the Oracle. Oracle does fall. Likewise, Zan punishing herO. And with that Zan, he still maintains a better economy. Still up in workers. The pressure's on herO, and he is getting some damage. He's getting some economic damage. And here he should be able to hold on. It's been a bit of a chaotic start, but we're calming things down. Zan is being forced back. Ooh, getting caught out by the Phoenix. And he's going to have to commit. Bleeding out a Stalker. So slightly better trades from herO. Catching 3 Stalkers. That FSA shade across the map. Getting a probe. And as it settles both players, they will be embracing their 2 base economies. Zan is up 4 probes. He's up 4 workers, getting into Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, herO has map control with these Phoenixes. He's gotten some value so far. We'll see what else he can get done. He's sassy. Fun fact, I never actually finished Boys Over Flowers. I don't know why. I got towards the end, but never did finish. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. So now Zan going to be following this up, getting a 3rd base, which is calming things down, looking to expand. Now herO, he has gone for a 2 base all in every game in this series so far. There's no major sign of that though. There's no extra gateways, so herO, he should be expanding. You can see him fanning out with the hallucinated probes, trying to find out where exactly Zan is, figure out what's going on. Ooh, that is an extra gateway. So herO is setting up, getting up to 3 gates, going for a Twilight Council. Now, okay, what are the odds that herO goes... More gateways on the way. What are the odds that herO goes for Glaives? He goes for a 2 base Immortal Glaives all in. Yeah, more gates on the way. herO, he could have expanded. All these gateways could have been a Nexus, but herO, he's staying on 2 bases. It looks like another 2 base all in for herO. Let's go. Aye. Zan across the map, enjoying a greater economy. Zan trying to catch up in upgrades, throwing down his own gateways. Okay, it is going to be charged, not glaives, but regardless, still aggressive nonetheless, as herO has yet to expand. Probe is in position, though. Gearing up towards more Zealots. And herO, he's about to have the money for it. Does he throw down the Nexus? He does. Let's go. He's expanding. He's crazy. For the first time this series, he's getting a 3rd base. Meanwhile, big dive here for Zaun. Takes out a Stalker. Gets a couple of Zealots. And is forced to recall, leading out one Stalker in the process. So a better trade for Zaun. Meanwhile, here he doesn't really have any pushing potential as he's waiting for his Warp Prism. Templar Archives on the way, getting into his own Archons as well. We're gearing up. We're going to be getting into the mid-game for the first time this series. Likewise, Zaun catching up as well. Getting +1, catching out some of these Phoenixes. One Phoenix does fall. So we have Zaun still being active. Ooh. Getting a Stalker caught out. Zaun just trying to keep herO busy. He has no intention of committing, not yet. He's still just building up his forces. Bearing in mind that Zaun is going to be down in upgrades, so ideally he doesn't want to fight until he catches up. With +2, as +2 is finishing for herO. And here comes that War Prism. Again, this is the sign of aggression. A sign that herO, he will push. And what does he have to work with? Look at his units tab here. Here he's got 4 Immortals, 2 Archons. He's going to have a swarm of Zealots. Zaun has more Zealots back at home. He has 26 Zealots, which is good. But up against an Archon-heavy composition, the Zealots didn't really mean much. As Archons, they just completely annihilate charge lots. It all comes down to the positioning. Ideally, Zaun, he wants to avoid these Archons, or just avoid his Zealots from clumping up. If the Zealots do clump, if they do bunch up, then they will just evaporate. Oh, speaking of, some of the Zealots are caught out. Zaun has to be careful. Rotating over. Bearing in mind, herO, he still has that upgrade advantage. herO also getting to +1 armor as well. The goal for Zaun is to pick off the Archons, if at all possible. To try to snipe them ahead of time. And focus them down in the middle of the fight. As the armies, they do pass by each other. Uh-oh. And we could try to commit to a base trade. Here he has been spotted. He's pushing in. At the same time, Zaun going straight for the natural. And the base trade, it's here. Let's go. Nice catch on the Immortal. Immortal gets caught out, and here he has to commit. And trading a base for a base. But Zaun is going straight into the main. Yeah, he's going to get here much faster. Is going to hit much harder as well. Natural is going to fall. Main base under threat, under fire. herO just going for the third. And he's just much more delayed. Zaun, he does evacuate. Pulls away with the workers. herO going to chase him down. Zaun, he could try to recall, but for now just commits. Getting into all the bases. And herO likewise does also save the probes. Workers are safe. herO busting into the main. Both players can afford Nexi. But here he has eyes on the probes. He is aware. The bases are going down. And here he can, both players, they can barely afford a Nexus. And there it is. herO taking the natural of Zaun, and Zaun, he takes the third base of herO. Now when it comes to the base trade, if we look at the main armies, Zaun, he has almost 50 Zealots. Jesus. herO, he's up 1 Archon. And he's up at Immortals. Ideally, Zaun wants to fight this army out in the open. If herO is able to make use of a choke point. Actually, Zaun, if he wanted to, he could actually try to break through this and get on top of the building. But no, Zaun is backing up. He backs off for now. Here he spots the main army with the Observer. herO is aware. Oh! War Prism is not quite caught out. There was potential. Zaun, he pulls away, doesn't want to get baited. You can see Zaun trying to bait the army with these Stalkers and trying to come in with a flank. Oh! One Stalker gets caught out. And we're going for the base trade. Let's go! We're going for the base trade. Zaun, he pulls away. Both players, they can't really afford any more bases, by the way. The Nexus is going to go down. And GG gets called. Zown, he kills the final building. The Nexus falls and Zown, he ties up the series 2-2. GG. He sniped the Nexus. Win by elimination. Zown, we're going to the ace match, going to game 5. herO, he's spamming Z. Oh, he didn't know. He didn't realize. Hold on. Translating. Aye. Here he's saying that he thought he canceled his building to afford another, but he couldn't afford it. He said he was in a hurry. GG, well played. And with that, we're going all the way to game 5. He canceled last next. Yeah. Sorry, I think that's what he's saying. He's saying that, oh, he's saying that he thought he canceled. But yeah. No more buildings. And now we're going into our final game. It all ends here. It all ends on Ultra Love. This could go either way. Could go the way of Zown. Could go the way of herO. It all ends here. Spawning in the top right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Weibo Gaming, the favorite player in this series, being forced all the way to the ace match. Can he bring it back? It is herO. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the other South Korean Terran player, Protoss player, the red Protoss, forcing the ace match. Coming out on top of that base trade, it is Zown. Go. As again, here he had no more buildings left out on the map. He was caught out of position. It was a crazy maneuver out of Zown to just bypass the main army and just go straight for the natural, go straight for the kill. And in the end, it worked. Did work out, did catch herO off guard. And we find ourselves in that final game. You see herO setting up on the low ground. Again, welcome to Ultra Love. There is a ramp coming to National, so we should be seeing this gateway into Expand or gateway to Cybercore into Nexus. Zown sets up on the high ground instead, but there is no second gate. So we have mirrored builds, but herO is set up on the low ground. Mirrored builds overall. Cybercore gets thrown down for both players. From here, both herO and Zown have their gas geysers. Heroes are faster, which means herO, he can embrace an earlier tech structure if he so chooses. Anyway, herO, he pylon blocks, denies the expansion. And do we open Stargates or do we open Robo? That is the question. There it is. Nexus first out of Zown. Does get the expansion. And herO, he shouldn't be too far behind. Throwing down his own Nexus. Huh. Nexus on the way. No early tech structures. So far, so good. So far, economic builds by both players. Calming down. We're settling in. We go. Thought the 40 zealots killed it. I'm pretty sure they killed the base. I mean, we could just double check, actually. We have the technology. The 40 Zealots were about to kill it, and herO, he did cancel. Crazy. But he did cancel the Nexus. I mean, he was going to lose anyway, but that is how the game ended. There you go. Hi. He got too excited, Bob. He got too excited. From here, we are settling in. We have our tech of choice. Going to be a Robo Opener out of herO. Likewise, Twilight Council out of Zaun. So Zaun getting into Blink. herO moving out with the initial Sentry, Stalker, Zealot. Interesting. A bit of a kitchen sink. Moving out across the map. Now, with these sentries, I would imagine the goal for herO is to force field the ramp and to try to catch Zaun off guard. This is a very cheeky maneuver here by herO. But Zaun is, for the most part, in position. He did scout the opener. He did see the Robo. He's ready in the main, and he does deflect herO. Calm down, herO. Gonna be reinforcing. Oh, catching at the army. Nice juggling though at herO. Saves the initial units. Rotating back around once again, but Zaun is keeping up. He does force field the ramp. herO rotating back towards the natural. So far, so good for Zaun. Setting up his own proxy gateway. His own gateway is set. Zaun has 4 gates back at home. That is a proxy 5th gateway. He's going to be setting up for a mass Blink Stalker counterattack. Back at home, what does herO have to defend? He does have an Immortal. Immortal production's on the way. And hopefully herO doesn't expand. Oh. As the Prism does take a volley. herO, he's up to 2 Immortals. Proxy's almost done. Zaun soon to move out. Zaun, the main army is spotted. Gateway's finishing up. We're waiting for the warp in. And can Zaun catch out this army? Now, thankfully for herO, the Warp Prism does race back home, so he has some counter micro available. We can save the Immortals. Yep, there we go. 2-base all in. Straight up 2-base all in here from Zaun. It's his turn to be the aggressor. And so I'm going to try to catch herO out. herO engaging with the main army. He's got his 3 Immortals. Oh, and Zaun, he can't fight this head on. He needs more reinforcements. The proxy gets spotted. herO, he now knows that it's an all-in. Does maintain the high ground. Oh. Playing with fire. Throwing down 2 more gates of his own. herO finishing up his own Blink. It's 2-base versus 2-base. Armies are comparable. Are comparable to each other. Zaun throwing down 4 more. Jesus. Throwing down 4 more gateways. That's going to be a 9-gate setup on 2 bases, by the way, for Zaun. It's crazy. Transitioning into chargelots. Ooh. Does get caught. Likewise, Stalkers, they slip into the natural, forcing a recall. And then we recall. 2 Stalkers do fall, but Zaun, he does maintain that gateway at least a little bit longer. herO, he defends. And here he's going for his own 2-base play. It's going to be Immortal into Glaive Adepts. Zaun going Blink Stalkers into Chargelots. Let's go. Who do we favor here? Well, there is going to be a window in time where Zaun has charge over his opponents, where Glaives is still just now not even halfway done. So Zaun, he will have that tech advantage. And we'll see if we can try to catch out these Immortals. As here, he still reinforces. The Zealots move out. The Observer does spot the Zealots. herO is aware. Reinforcements, they take a long time to move out across the map as there is no Robot, there's no Warp Prism. Zaun looking to expand. Glaive's almost done for herO. Now, with the upgrades finishing up, I do favor herO in this position. Glaive Adepts actually do quite well against Chargelots, and then you have the Immortals for everything else. So I do think that herO's outscaling Zaun, assuming they do hit each other. With this move out, it looks like Zaun is getting ready for a base trade. Zaun, he spots the army, And he avoids. No, the Observer! He gets spotted by the Observer. Here he turns around. He will not get caught out by the base trade. Not this time. Ay, ay, ay. Este down. So he gets spotted. Has to pull away. Neither player has expanded. So far here he's keeping up. He's keeping up with the main army. Archon's now morphing in for Xian. Oh, catching out in depth. Nice pickup. Gets the one. Xian's going to be the first to expand. And can Xian keep up with this army? I mean, there are no Archons for herO. True. Has to rely on those adepts instead. Xian collapses in. Force fields they zone away the Archons. The Archons they break through. Xian has to back up. Catching out the Stalkers. A nice engage initially. See herO diving past the army. And he doesn't commit. Really doesn't commit to the Shade. There are some force fields available, locking down the Immortals. And the Immortals are exposed. Xian going to try and focus them down. He gets one. One Immortal goes down. The second Immortal as well. Can he get the third? Oh, he can. All three Immortals do fall. The Prism as well. And Xian, he's holding. There's only Adepts left. Only Adepts remaining. herO, he was lacking control, lacking War Prism Micro, I should say. And Xian, he will clean this up. And here he has to race back. And Xian, he has a better army. He's got Archons. It's Archons, more Stalkers, Chargelts as well. They scale better into a longer game state. Force shields were on point, and herO went behind Dark Shrine and the Bay. DTs and Disruptors are on the horizon. I mean, there are both ways to come back in this game. herO, he does bypass the army, forcing the recall. Does force the recall back home. herO going for the mineral line. As he gets caught out by the Stalkers. Very nice movement here by Xian, catching out the army. The Stalkers, they were lying in wait in the center. The Adept count gets reset. Now, what's a little bit terrifying here? On the one hand, you know, we were laughing at herO going for DTs. There's no detection. There is no Robo. There is no Forge. There's no Stargate. There is zero detection for Xian. Technically, DTs could end the game if Xian doesn't get a Robo or anything. So I am concerned. I am concerned for Xian. The Invisible Man may just end the game. Just quickly double checking. Yeah, there is zero detection. And this crazy two-base play out of here, it can work. 100%. Adepts are getting caught. herO shades away. Xian poking in, but here come those Dark Templar and the War Prism. Here we go, 4 DTs. And is this how the series, is this how it ends? Is this how it all ends here? In favor of herO, here come the DTs. Robo just now begins, no shot. And mate, this might just be over. This might just be over here and now. DTs, they have arrived, they bust into the main. Zero detection, going for the Robo as well. And what can Xian do? What can he do? He's trying to save the Robo, the force fields. Let's go. Archons, they can try to do some friendly fire with her auto attacks. Oh god, he's trying to save it. Can he save it? The DTs are busting in. I don't think he can. The DTs, they're getting up to that Robo. Yeah, the swipes are real. Observer's on the way. Can he save it? 17 probes going down. Here comes the main army of herO. And a couple more swipes. The Robo goes down. Zero detection. GG gets called. As there's nothing to be done against the Invisible Man. It's too good, Pappy. It's too good. Smooch. I would appreciate translations in the chat as to what's being said. And there it is. GG herO. He takes the series 3-2 off of the back of almost non-stop 2-base all-ins. GG. GG, well played. Zero detection. To be fair, herO did take a third base in game 4, if you remember. I think it was the last game that herO did expand, did get a third base, and we did have 3 base saturation, but that was the only game. Outside of that, just non-stop 2 base all-ins, time and time and time again. To be fair, here in the final game, Zan was also 2 base all-in for a long time as well. Unfortunately, no detection. Unfortunately, there was no Robo, there was no Stargate, there was no Forge. We saw there that he was doing the best he could to save that Robo with the force fields. It was impressive, but there was only so many force fields that he had available, and eventually the Robo did go down. Even if it didn't, he had already dealt so much damage. 17 probes had fallen, and herO, who was knocking down that front door, moving out with his main army with the Mass Disruptor as well. GG. GG, well played. A wild game, a wild series as well. Congratulations. Congratulations. Let's go. GG. We need a hero. We do. We do. And with that, that is the conclusion of the tournament. We have our champion. We have our hero. Congratulations. Congratulations, hero. A shout out to Zan, because Zan, he popped off here tonight. Zan, he may not have taken down herO, but he did force herO to the ace match, and as you can see here, it was not an easy road for Zan, bearing in mind that historically, and I still stand by this, Zan's weakest matchup is PvZ. Despite that, he took down SHIN 2-0, and he took down Dark 2-1. You don't get much better than that in South Korea. When it comes to the Korean Zerg players, comparable Zerg players are Solar and Vogue, that is true, but I would say that SHIN and Dark are at the top of the pack at the moment, so very impressive play there by Zan, able to bring them both down, and also some chaotic matches, don't get me wrong, but alas, herO, he is the KSL champion, and he wins another KSL. I say another, he wins the first KSL of 2025. GG. GG, well played. Whew. And with that, hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. If you enjoyed the broadcast, if you enjoyed the tournament, if you want to support the KSL, exclamation mark KSL in the chat, and you will get a KSL, and you will get a link to the Patreon page. If you want to help support the tournament, you can do so via Patreon. Otherwise, of course, this is a bi-weekly tournament every 2 weeks, so not next week but the week after. Every fortnight we do have a KSL, and our next one is going to be in 2 weeks. Otherwise, our next broadcast is going to be in, what is it, 5 hours? In just under 6 hours. In like 5 hours and 45 minutes, we are going to be live here on the channel with day number 2 of the Masters Coliseum playoffs. We casted day 1 last night, and tonight is going to be day number 2. We're going to be featuring Zan versus MaxPax. We just saw Zan in a PvP, and hopefully he's able to get some food. Hopefully he's able to get some rest before his next series tonight, because Zan, he went to the ace match against herO. Tonight, he has a best of 5 versus MaxPax. I would say that MaxPax and herO, they're quite comparable in skill. MaxPax and herO, they've been going back and forth in PvPs, and I want to believe that Zan can also threaten MaxPax. If he can threaten herO, he can threaten MaxPax as well. MaxPax, just like herO, is still the favored player against Zan, but clearly, he can make them work for it, and upsets can occur. So best of luck to Zan tonight. It's going to be first Zan versus MaxPax. It's going to be followed tonight by serO versus Gumiho. That is a match that we did not get to see at Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup, Gumiho, he popped off, and Gumiho did win the entire tournament, but Gumiho never played against serO because serO got knocked out on the other side of the bracket by Clem. Clem knocked serO out, and Gumiho and serO, they never played, but they will play in a best of 5 tonight. I look forward to it. I do look forward to it. It's going to be a banger of a night, I'm sure. So do stick around, or I should say, consider following. Consider following us here on Twitch. You can follow us on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, all things CranKy Ducklings, as I have a command for you. Un momento. So we do have a command in the chat. Bam! Exclamation mark socials in the chat, and you will get a link to all of our social medias. Again, we upload VODs on a daily basis on YouTube, so plenty of VODs on YouTube, plenty of content to be explored, and plenty of content to be consumed. If you want some more StarCraft, we got you covered there. Otherwise, if you are not available in 6 hours, if you can't watch live, again, YouTube's the place to be. Otherwise, tomorrow we're going to be live casting some replays at around this time, or I should say earlier than this time. We're going to be casting the replays of the Euthermal 2v2 tournament, the January tournament. We were there at the time. We were actually adminning. I was adminning alongside Kuro, alongside Kerwin. We were adminning the event. Unfortunately, we couldn't cast it ourselves because we were busy working behind the scenes. But we do have the luxury of at least casting the replays tomorrow. I'm going to be covering those replays here. Something a little bit more laid back, something more chill. 2v2. 2v2 instead, featuring players like Spirit, like Max Pax, like Trigger, Clem, Euthermal, Goblin, Big Gabe as well, and many others. So do look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. I'm sure I did intentionally, at the time I wasn't watching the mainstream live, was of course busy adminning, so haven't been quite spoiled to the results there of the event. But there was a lot of viewership though. There was a lot of viewership, a lot of interest, so yeah. Hope you'll enjoy that to come tomorrow. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for support. Thanks for the support. I should say, big shout out to Pig. Pig did give us a raid earlier, so big raid out of Pig, big raid out of El Chanchito. So thank you so much, and stick around. We're gonna be giving another raid to another StarCraft streamer out there. We'll give some love to someone out there that is streaming. I see Sort of is laddering. Let's go. I see Sort of. Who else is live at the moment? Let's see. I don't know if there are too many people live at the moment, but we'll find someone. We'll find someone to raid. Cosmic is live. Kid Chilling. Hi Pimplar. Some people that I'm very unfamiliar with, but regardless, hope you'll enjoy yourselves. Again, if you want to support us here on the CranKy Ducklings, you can subscribe. You can check out our own Patreon as well. Our Patreon is set up to support our tournaments. If you do wish to do so, you can do so via our Patreon. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in 6 hours for Masters Coliseum, or tomorrow for the Thermal 2v2 tournament. See you next time. See you then. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you next time.